It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Very good afternoon to you. Welcome on into the sports bar and stand by for 3 hours of fantastic sports talk in the Flower City. Glad you're with us at 95.7 FM, AM 950. You can hear us in the free-to-download Odyssey, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn apps, and we're also streaming live on our YouTube and Twitch channels. Find us at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. Over there, that's Battaglia.
So I said something online on Friday that I'm not going to walk back here. So we're ready to do the Amerks kind of broadcast. We're doing the Hall of Fame night, and it was a great time.
It was so much fun.
And the one thing we try to do and make you, the listener, aware that we are from Rochester. Okay, we are here, and we're here talking Rochester things. And in order to just do shameless self-promotion, right? They're like, hey, we're at the Blue Cross Arena. Listen to the show today. And I start off making this comment. And I said, hey, for some people in our town, hockey season begins when football season ends, and it is hockey season. Welcome to the Blue Cross Arena. And I think most people, and I was looking for it just now. I think I deleted it. Just a really angry direct message saying, no, you shouldn't have said that. There are a lot of us out there that support. Yes, of course.
Hockey fans are hockey fans.
Hockey fans,
yes.
There are two, but I would say there are two types of hockey fans. Those that really are super into it, hockey above everything else, and that's awesome. And they're just normal guys and gals that, hey, this is on, and this is really great. And you know what? Where am I leading with this? If you didn't pay attention to the Sabres up until this point, welcome aboard. Because what that team did last night, this is a different team. And I don't know if this is where you wanted to lead here, Danger. But watching that game and seeing how this team responded multiple times after little things that don't go their way, and, there's a penalty, that shouldn't have been called, we gave up a goal. In the past, they would have folded. This team they're mentally tough.
Yeah. So I will further the comment and say there are probably people listening that don't even like hockey, that don't care. You have the whole range, whole spectrum of sport fans.
You have somebody in your neighborhood, stop talking hockey.
There are people that just can't get into it. They only want to hear about football. Hockey doesn't exist. It's not a sport that they're interested in. I know that there are people out there that like that. There are people like me. I played it as a kid. So as far as like the sport, I love it. I love the sport.
Well, can I take a little detour there?
Sure. And hockey parents, I'm sure, feel the same way.
Yeah, I mean, if you are somebody that feels that way about hockey, understand that, okay, there's somebody that feels that way about baseball. There's somebody that feels that way about the NBA. There's the guy that hates soccer.
Right.
Stop. Okay, yes, we can all pretty much 99.9%. We love the NFL and we love football.
And by the way, like our formula is pretty simple here in the sports bar. I mean, if you're somebody that's listened to us for the almost 10 years that we have been on the air, 90% about what we talk about on a daily basis is usually NFL or Buffalo Bills related. And maybe the rest, 10%, is a smattering of Sabres, Amerks, the teams we care most about, baseball, and some NBA. As those seasons heat up, to your original point, football season is winding down. The Super Bowl is on Sunday. And after that, what? After that, well, the Sabres, they're giving us a little bit of an appetizer of what could be after we get back from the Olympics. Now, right now, depending on where you look, there's anywhere from a 75 to 90% chance that the Buffalo Sabres are going to end the playoff drought and be in the postseason, which is fantastic news for the spring, because I think we're all, after this winter, I think we're all looking forward to something that galvanizes and unifies our communities, and the Sabres have the ability to do that in the postseason.
It's also noteworthy that this season is unlike many others where we have this big old break coming up. And if you look at the Sabres schedule, and this is odd, right? It's a 27-game stretch. That's it. 27 games. That's all. I mean, can you get the majority of points and still get in? This is weird. So you could say the best team in the East is Tampa Bay. You could say that's a team that's ready to make the cup, ready to make a cup run. Tampa Bay's tough, right? Tonight's opponent. You have 4 games against these Jamos still left.
Oh,
4
wow.
of the 20. Yeah. Like, oh, thank you very much. So this schedule is not going to be kind for Buffalo when they come on the other side. But you know what, Danger? You're going to win the cup. Don't be afraid.
Well, yes. I like that they are already thinking about that. We heard from Alex Tuck, on Friday when we were at Blue Cross Arena, and he laid it out in the most confident way I've heard a Buffalo Sabre laid out.
You know what? We're coming in with a lot of confidence. Everybody's coming in trying to prove themselves, and we're trying to prove as a team that we're legit. We're not just going to go for the playoffs. We're going to go for the cup, and that's our goal. To get better each and every day. That's it. That's the end goal, honestly. We're not in here just to squeak in. We're in here to try to keep winning.
It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Love hearing that. And last night, beating the 2-time defending Stanley Cup champion was a nice win. The way they won, all of that is great. But if you really want, I think, a measuring stick, well, tonight is that. I know it's not ideal going back to back, but Tampa is legit. Tampa is hot. And if you can match up with Tampa and you can leave Florida with a sweep of the 2 Florida teams that have tormented you through this streak, or through this drought, I should say, then I think you're feeling pretty good going into the Olympics.
Yeah, and if you're somebody who gets caught up in the world of I can't afford every streaming service, right? There are some that, all right, you're on Hulu, but you don't get MSG on Hulu, and there's some tonight they're on Hulu and ESPN Plus down in Tampa.
Uh-huh.
We have them on the radio too here, of course, on the Fan Rochester. But tonight, Sabres taking center stage. Certainly, it's more fun to talk about a team like that that's winning than Syracuse basketball. We'll leave Syracuse basketball for the 5 o'clock
We'll
hour.
talk about that
Yeah.
as we're doing shots. Yeah. I tried the reverse jinx as we were signing off. Usually, if I say it feels like a loss, that team will surprise everybody and win. But no, felt like a loss. That was legit.
They were down by 34.
Yikes.
And then North Carolina puts in their subs, and Syracuse goes on this miraculous run to end up only losing by 10. Wow. Wow.
You get a cookie.
It's like there's an old South Park episode where Kyle and Kenny, they're excited because they're playing the Bulls and they beat the point spread by scoring a touchdown late. That's what it feels like,
Yeah.
right? Like we beat the point spread for Syracuse.
Fun show lined up for you this afternoon. Because it is Tuesday, as per tradition, we will speak with Rochester Americans head coach Michael Leone as the homestand for the Amherst continues tomorrow night.
So Belleville tomorrow night, Springfield on Friday, and it's a team that bounced back. But I'm a little fuzzy here about what could happen. Maybe Mike could fill us in here. Like, what can we expect? Because coming up on Thursday, that's it. The NHL goes on break. The Sabres play the Penguins, and those that are lucky enough to play in the Olympics, they go overseas. Everybody else heads to warmer weather, I would assume. Or can you get back some help? Can you get back a Metza or somebody like that? Who might be available to come back down? Now, of course, the Amherst, they're not the only team that's going to benefit off of this in the HL, but of all the teams in their division, in terms of manpower hours lost, I would think that Rochester's right near the top. We'll talk to Mike Leone coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
Matt Perino of Syracuse.com and the Shout Podcast stops by the sports bar in about 15, 20 minutes or so as well.
So we did get word today that, all right, we don't have to wait until April, thank goodness, that we will hear from these coordinators. Carmichael, as well as Rogers, the special teams coordinator. But I think the guy I really want to hear from is Jim Leonard. I want to hear his thoughts. And it's really, they're not going to get up there and say, oh, yeah, we can do better, about this player. They're not going to say that, but can we get philosophical questions? And that's really kind of what I'm curious to get Matt Perino's thoughts on. What do we hope to learn here coming up on Thursday? Get his thoughts on what has been, the most eventful 2 weeks in the offseason for the Buffalo Bills since Rex Ryan got fired? Is that fair to say? Well, we'll talk to Matt Perino coming up here in the 3 o'clock hour.
You're welcome to join us anytime this afternoon. You can pull up a stool on the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line at 866-4FAN, 866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub, 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester, goodsmokebbq.com.
As it is... we did have media night for the Super Bowl. There used to be like a big thing, and everybody's putting cameras in the face of Steph Diggs and everybody else. I think my favorite one was somebody asked Mike Vrabel, is this a must-win game?
Well, it became a sideshow, media
Yeah.
night, right? Like
Yeah.
you get the reporters from around the world, or you get the viral superstars just asking goofy questions. It became almost like a cosplay event.
It used to be, hey, are you breathing? Yes. Would you like a credential? Here you come in, and you
Right.
end up with some of these silly questions. And I just want to point out that Steph Diggs, divisive figure, right here amongst the Bills fan base, took the high road. Really took the high road when talking about Josh Allen,
Of course.
and talking about how he hopes Bills fans, great fans, hope they get one someday.
We shouldn't be like, he's going to always say the right thing. He's not always going to do the right thing, but he's going to in public with the cameras on him and the media grilling him. He's always going to say the right thing. I mean, I was always amazed at how he was able to, in that setting, in the press conference setting, give off the impression that everything is fine, and that he is a likable guy when you get him in that setting. He's not a great guy when you hear all the things he does away from the football field.
There's the allegation, and we'll let the process play out on
Yeah.
that. So I'm not going to canonize this guy, but it's interesting when we look back at this era of Buffalo Bills football. He's the guy who actually got Josh Allen on track. He's the guy that brought this offense to places that you didn't think were possible. And how are we going to kind of view it when it's all said and done? And I just go back to the root of it. The root of it wasn't him and Josh Allen. I think the root of it was him and his head coach.
No question. And even today, if you look at some metrics on wide receivers and how they're able to separate in the NFL, Diggs is still top 3. Like, he's still a guy who can separate. He can make a quarterback look a lot better, and it can mask a lot of deficiencies with accuracy because of his ability to separate. I think that's part of why, Drew, why you saw such a great season from Drake May. It's why I think Josh Allen became who Josh Allen is. You could talk about Brian Daboll's influence. You could talk about I think marrying Diggs with Allen for that time, that period of time, made Josh Allen. It was a big part of making Josh Allen what we know of Josh Allen. And Diggs being able to separate was that biggest thing. You know, he was always about self-preservation. He wasn't a guy that was going to chew a lot of yak, but he was a guy who would separate and make for an easy target for the quarterback. And he's done it in New England again. And granted, these are not eye-popping season-long statistics for Steph Diggs, but he's a factor, and you have to account for him if you're planning against him.
Do you really have to account for him?
I think you have to account for
at
him.
this point.
I do. I think if you try not, I just look at what he did against the Bills early in week 5, right? Like, I know they wanted to account for him. They tried to account for him. He had a different level, a different gear. He was always open on that night. I mean, it was jarring to see somebody, even at his age, still play at that level. So I think you have to, be mindful of where he's lining up and who you have covering him. Whether or not May can throw him the football in the Super Bowl because of that shoulder remains to be seen. We'll learn more through the course of this week, and we'll certainly learn more when we have a conversation with our buddy Fitzy from WEEI, who's there at Radio Row on Thursday.
Yeah, we're going Radio Row back-to-back on Thursday. Another year we're not going to Radio Row, Danger. Can you arrange that in Los Angeles next year? You've got friends out in L.A.
And I have friends in L.A. We'll call Tim in San Diego.
Yeah,
Tim in San Diego will
yeah.
be, I know L.A. and San Diego are two separate cities, but yeah, we'll work something out. Yeah, we'll check in with Radio Row on Thursday and learn more about the health of Drake May. But yeah, the media day shenanigans, I think all of that has kind of been overshadowed by the State of the NFL address by Roger Goodell and everything that he throws out there when he's talking to the media.
I think it's just word salad, right? He's like getting this out of the way in the middle of the week. What can he say about, hey, you had 10 openings and not one went to a minority?
Well,
put this
technically, one went to a minority. Robert Saleh is technically, because of his descent, considered a minority.
Okay.
So
that's a good point of clarification. But still.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, my take on that is not really a Goodell thing. It's not really a Rooney Rule thing. It's an NFL owner thing. And as long as you have NFL owners like we have, I think they will satisfy the Rooney Rule by the letter of the Rooney Rule, but they will also they will also hire the guy that they feel is best to lead their organization, regardless of their skin color. Some of them maybe not. I have a feeling there might be some old school, old timey, guys that might look a little sideways at a minority candidate. But as long as you have this crop of NFL owners, I don't suspect that anything's going to change.
Speaking of NFL owners, and I'm bringing this up today. Well, let me go back. It was in the fall. We normally don't interview authors, and we get a lot of pitches, right? But I'm like, I saw this book. I'm like, okay, this is a book I would read. This is a book Danger would read, right? Ken Belson.
And I don't read books. I'm not very bright.
That was the punchline. Every Day is Sunday is the name of the book, right? And we brought him on, and I'm reading this, and it's like, I love juicy little anecdotes. Like, if you go to, say, Texas Stadium, AT&T, Cowboy Stadium, like, you want the VIP tour. Well, Jerry Jones isn't there to give you the VIP tour, but they have a hologram of Jerry giving you the tour to the point where it has this AI thing, and you ask hologram Jerry what he thinks of a certain thing, and hologram Jerry will answer the question for you. Okay, the point here, Danger, is another anecdote from this book is about another egomaniac owner. That's Robert Kraft.
What?
So Robert Kraft, when he first got the Patriots job, and they first started getting good, and it's Sunday Night Football, and he calls up the director of Sunday Night Football the next day. And the director's thinking, oh, he's going to say we did a nice job, his team won the game. No, Robert Kraft isn't happy because he wasn't shown on Sunday Night Football.
Right.
The director's like, well, it was raining, and the glass, we couldn't see through it, Robert. So we could have shown you, but with the reflection and it's raining. So moving forward, Robert Kraft had the glass taken out of his luxury box. Yeah. So there was no excuse. And this is a fact. He wants every NFL broadcast to show him. Think about all the Patriot games you've ever seen, whether it's on the sideline or in the box.
You'll see him.
You will see him.
At some point on Sunday, you will see him.
Because that is what the owner is asking. And after all, they're partners. Hey, this is my one ask. Show me on TV. And again, why am I bringing this up today? Because Robert Kraft, the guy who likes to be on TV, the guy who openly campaigns for himself in terms of the Hall of Fame. Yeah. If you thought it was funny that Bill Belichick didn't get in the Hall of Fame, let me tell you, this is not confirmed just yet, but it is being reported that Robert Kraft did not get into the Hall of Fame this year.
Neither of those cheaters are getting in on their first try. I love it. and did I see this quote from Robert Kraft, which is an unfortunate quote, being that he's the one delivering it? It rubs me the wrong way. Did he say that? Is that an actual quote, that him not getting in rubs him the wrong way, or is somebody just making that up?
I think somebody is.
Because the guy who was, part of that whole masseuse sting, that thing that happened, what was it? What was the Asian parlor called that we
Orchids of Asia. Why does
Orchids of Asia.
I can't remember important things. Why do I remember
God
that?
bless you, Gino. I'm glad that's taken up some space in your cranium. That is fantastic. Orchids of Asia. Yeah. And it rubs him the wrong way. Well, look, they're both getting in. They're both going to get in. So you didn't get in. For Belichick, you didn't get on the first try. Hey, you know what? As a consolation prize, maybe Robert Kraft gets invited to the big Jordan Hudson, Bill Belichick induction ceremony party that she's throwing on the day of the Hall of Fame induction.
I think it's like that. There's like speculation that people are egging on Jordan to, make sure that there's an engagement on the day of the NFL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, let's make headlines.
Wedding day.
Yeah, let's make headlines on the day where everybody else is going in except for Bill Belichick. And you know what? Let's throw a party. And she can do her cheerleading competition, too, at the same time. Like, let's just make a big event of it. We'll invite Robert Kraft. He can be a part of it. We'll make sure that the cameras are on him at all times.
The thing that I do find kind of sad about this, and for years, you and I, we weren't the first to do this, poke fun at baseball writer and the Hall of Fame and the stuffiness and the self-importance of those.
Sanctimonious.
Yes, just... Okay, well, that sanctimonious disease has crept over to football. Maybe it was there all along, but this is kind of exposing it, is it not?
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. I don't think I'm not saying that football writer is immune from what baseball writer has, but I think this process specifically, the process that has kept Belichick out of the first ballot and what will keep Kraft out is the process of voting. The idea that you've got this list and you have to pick 3 out of this list, and some of these guys, this will be their last opportunity. Like Roger Craig should be in the Hall of Fame. But if he doesn't get in this time, when is the next time he's in? I don't know. I mean, like these are the thoughts that I think are crossing their mind as they're going through. So the process needs to change. Not saying that the writer isn't high atop Mount Pius looking down upon everybody and saying to Bill Belichick, you cheated, you do not get in on the first ballot. I think some of those guys do exist, but I do think that the process of voting is the thing that probably needs to change in order for you to say, oh, this is wrong, and we need to make it right. That and the writers need to, get off their high horse a little bit.
We will as we're saying this, our favorite writer, he's not just a writer. He's a podcaster. He's multimedia. Does Channel 4 in Buffalo.
He's a Renaissance man. He does it all. He's a coach. He's a professor. He's an adjunct. He's everything. He's Matt Perino. That's our guy.
He's our guy. Syracuse Post-Standard, Shout Podcast.
We will talk to Matt Perino. I mean, when the last time we had him on was Tuesday, and there's been a lot happening at One Bills Drive since our last conversation.
Lost track. Was it Wednesday? Wednesday, Brady's announcement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we will get the thoughts of Matt Perino on everything that's going on with the Buffalo Bills. Next, you can join us again at 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326.
The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Sabres play their second game in as many nights. Tonight's in Tampa as this red-hot Lightning team, Brian Duff pointing out, it's a tough opponent.
Tampa, though, is 17-1-1 in their last 19 games and coming off the dramatic 4-goal comeback win in a shootout against the Bruins in the Stadium Series game on Sunday. But do you find it crazy that this is the first meeting of the year?
TV side tonight, it's on ESPN Plus and Hulu, not on MSG. We will have the game for you, of course, here on the Fan Rochester, 7:30 for our coverage. The Amerks homestand continuing, coming up Wednesday. Belleville is the opponent. We'll talk to head coach Mike Leone later this hour. Buffalo Bills continue to round out their coaching staff. We'll get the latest and the thoughts from Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard of the Shout podcast. He joins us next. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
Top Shelf Sports Talk. You're hanging out in the sports bar with Danger and Battaglia on the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
We're back in the sports bar. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Danger and Battaglia, as we are joined every week at this time by our buddy Matt Perino, covering the Bills for Syracuse.com, the Syracuse Post-Standard. Hear him on the Shout podcast. I want to say it's been about a week, Matt, that we've had the opportunity to learn more about Joe Brady, the new Buffalo Bills head coach. And let's just start there with your first impressions of the new Bills lead guy. I mean, I think during the process, while they were interviewing candidates, Brady probably checked a lot of boxes that we weren't thinking about, and we were kind of fixated on the potential shiny new toy, and it ends up being eventually the guy that was in-house all along.
Yeah, I mean, I think we might have talked about this last Tuesday, but, like, this is, to me, a product of the timing of the decision, right? Like, Brady ends up being the guy that when they made the move off of Sean, my first reaction to that was, okay, they're going to go for a shiny new toy, to your point. And so I wasn't really thinking about Brady. But, he has got a great understanding of that building, from what Josh Allen means to the organization in the city to, Brandon Beane. I think that they've developed a pretty good relationship over the last couple of years. And, I think that at the end of the day, he sold them on maybe parts of it that haven't gone well over the last couple of years. It feels that maybe he's offered a plan for how it can be different. The aggressiveness that's come out, and Brandon's talked about how important that was during the process. And just, I think going with Jim Leonhard, to me, is the kind of dual approach to, okay, you get your offensive play caller, but then you also come in and bring in one of the brightest young defensive minds in coaching right now. I mean, you hear people talk about him, even people that haven't worked with him, but like going back to Wisconsin and the impact that he made there as the defensive coordinator, and now he's been under Vance Joseph for the last 2 years. Like, that's kind of the all-encompassing approach that you're probably going to have to nail if you were going to move on from an entity like McDermott, who's had, all this success, albeit not getting to the ultimate goal.
Yeah, if you're going to move on from McDermott, it was his defense. Bobby Babich was there just kind of, executing it. That's the way I always kind of viewed it. So, Matt, we learned today that we'll hear from the new coordinators coming up on Thursday. And let's stick with Leonhard here, because I would imagine that you and everybody else in the media will have a lot of questions. What are we hoping to learn? Because that is if you use your imagination, that is a side of the ball that you're going to see a lot of change, whether that's scheme or personnel. So what would you like to learn from Jim Leonhard coming up on Thursday?
Well, I think to start, I think the personnel part of the conversation is a little bit muddy, because I think on the heels of another playoff game where they gave up 33 or 30-plus, however you want to look at it, there was going to be personnel changes regardless. I mean, there's a lot of really important questions at every level of the defense. And you start to think about, okay, Leonhard, sure, he employs potentially a 3-4 defense and what that potentially looks like. They have a lot of pieces that I think guys that are going to be back, there's a world you can live in where you can see how they'll fit into that defense. So I don't think personnel is necessarily a big question mark. They're going to go out and they're going to try to bring in specific players in the draft and in free agency that, make a lot of sense in his defense. I know Leo Chennault is a guy who played for him at Wisconsin, who's been with the Chiefs these last couple of years that a lot of people have talked about. And, they're probably going to have to get a little bit more athletic at the edge position and the linebacker position in this upcoming draft. And luckily for Brandon Beane, this draft is setting up to be one that is very deep at edge and linebacker, and I think you're going to be able to find a couple of those pieces. But I think it comes down to a little bit of a different way of approaching playing defense. It's funny. We spent all these years talking about the shortcomings of this defense in the big playoff games, and I saw this Walter Sharp video today going back to the second game between the Bills and the Patriots, and he talked about how much Sean McDermott flipping and playing 50% cover 6 against Drake May really frustrated him in that game. And teams since then, defenses since then have gone almost completely over the top in terms of how much they're playing that specific look. And it brought me back to, remember, I think it was in 2019 when the Bills had played Lamar. I think it was in his MVP season, and they lost the game. But he threw 3 touchdowns, but everything was hard in the run game, and the Titans ended up beating them in the playoffs. And I think it was Vrabel who came out and said, we took the blueprint from Sean McDermott. And it's funny, like, for a guy that's going to be remembered for all these playoff losses and the defense maybe not holding up its end of the stick, he has had some really impressive in-season performances that have dictated the way the season unfolded. It's a shame for his sake and for Bills fans' sake that it never worked out to get him to a Super Bowl.
So on the offensive side of the ball and the hiring of Carmichael, I thought it was funny on Friday that the first hire that we heard of was this guy who he had worked with in New Orleans, just based on his comments from his introductory. I'm not here to hire my friends, and I don't need a lot of Joe Brady's here. And I know that he quickly kind of walked that back with his first public comments after the hire was made and announced, and talked a little bit about what he meant to that Saints team, what he meant to him. What do we know about him? And with Brady admitting he's going to be the play caller, what does Carmichael bring to the table in terms of the overall offensive production of the Buffalo Bills?
Yeah, I mean, as soon as we heard that Brady was going to call plays, I thought that this style of coordinator was one that, you probably limit your options, right? Like, a lot of these young play callers or young position coaches, like take a Davis Webb, for instance, he's probably going to want to call plays for his first offensive coordinator job, because how he does in that is going to determine whether or not he gets a head coaching job.
Sure.
So I think you limit the pool a little bit in that way. And so you take a guy like Carmichael, who's kind of fit himself into a career-long mold of, all right, I'm going to be a number 2. I'm going to be a great lieutenant, but I'm never going to be the general, and I'm okay with that, and I can run all the things behind the scenes. I can get things ready. And, in instances where he has called plays, it's been a mixed bag. And who knows? Like, the big selling point of Brady is that he's going to be the CEO. Well, what happens if being the CEO, it's hard to manage all the different factors that go into being a game day NFL head coach, and he's got to offload the play calling in a matchup or try something else. We've seen that over the course of time with coaches, like trying different things. Even Sean Payton is thinking about maybe handing over play calling to Davis Webb. And I don't think anybody would have ever thought that would even be something he entertained. So I don't know. I'm kind of with you. That was my first reaction to it. Ryan loved the move. I was very lukewarm on it. It's like, okay, I haven't gotten a chance to spend any time around him. I know a lot of people have been super high on him, including Chase Daniel from The Athletic, who came out and said he was with them both in New Orleans, and this is a great pairing. And I do think that piece of it I like because of how well Joe Brady leaned into Aaron Cromer's experience and their previous relationship to really build what has produced the MVP and the rushing champion over the last 2 seasons. So I think that there's, Brady's probably doing this for a reason, and there's a a built-in level of uniformity and ability to run an offense together. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I'm not at a point where I can't remember a single cycle where Carmichael's name has popped up as like a really high-end option available.
We're talking to Matt Perino, Syracuse Post-Standard Shout podcast, as, boy, it's been such a busy week here, Matt. We also on Thursday heard from Josh Allen, and there he was coming out in crutches. We learned he had surgery. And, from the time that you're listening, and he keeps everything so close to the vest, right? He's great in that regard. But what were your biggest takeaways hearing from Allen, and where do you think his head is at here as we are still a few months away from OTAs?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised to hear about the being able to play, even though he was hobbling around in a boot. That's kind of like the vibe from Josh Allen, but not really any. I got the sense that he's happy for Brady. He's comfortable in the direction of the organization, but it did feel like there's been a toll that's been taken on him. Not only this season with the injuries and everything like that, but, the very public dismissal of the guy that the only guy he's ever played for in this league as a head coach. And there's probably different levels of, truth to some of the stuff that's kind of been discussed and the rumor about, maybe that they weren't getting along and maybe that was something that, I don't know if it impacted things. And I guess we'll never know because that's not coming from any sources. It's just stuff that people are kind of throwing around back channel. I just think he needs a break and a reset. And I do think organizationally there's an understanding that everything has to be better around him. And I think that that's what this move really signals to me more than anything is that it is going to be back to the drawing board. It is going to be about improving everywhere. And, most notably wide receiver, which, I think I published a story yesterday after talking to Brandon late last week. And, a lot of fans took issue with, being maybe excuse-making why things didn't work out, talking about, the fact that they never really had a 5 that they invested in and went with throughout the season, that they were able to stay healthy and consistent, the injuries for Josh Palmer and Elijah Moore being up and down and then the Keon off-the-field stuff. But it has – I'll ask you guys. I mean, I've gotten the sense that wide receiver is going to be a priority this offseason, and I think that room could look a lot different in August.
Can I suggest that if they make it a priority, they make it a priority through the draft rather than free agency, just based on history? And I know Keon is a recent example of why it could go poorly if they invest in a wide receiver in the draft. I'm not really ready to give up on Keon Coleman, especially based on what we heard from Joe Brady and Josh Allen when they spoke. But when you look at who they could get in the draft and who might be available to them and energizing and they're not doing it for the fan base, but I think to energize this offense and to get the fan base invested in the moves that they're making, man, draft a wide receiver early in this draft.
I am all aboard the getting into the top 15 to get one of those two guys, whether it's Lemon or Tate. Like, depending on it's the wide receiver position. So, and we're still months out from the draft. So we might get to post-combine and the interview circuit, and Lemon and Tate are just blowing people away, and those are the top two guys. But I also think that I remember the year of Justin Jefferson, if you guys remember. Like, he was not a first-round pick at this time of the year. Like, I mean, he had just gone on a great run at LSU, but I think, as this thing went along, his stock continued to rise and rise, and he still ended up only going 22nd overall. So we're gonna have to play this thing out. I might have a different take on this when we get there. Right now, it feels like those two guys are the top options in terms of guys that are going to go early in this draft, and going out and getting one of those should be a priority. I'm totally in line with you, but I think that should be part of the plan. I think the other piece of the plan is I think you got to take a swing via trade. And I know it's hard. And, I talked to Brandon about this last week too. Like, you got to have somebody willing to trade a player. Like, a lot of times, like the DK Metcalf thing happened and they were willing to finally move on from him. But, I got the sense that maybe Olave is something that, similar to Diggs a couple of years ago, might be something that, and I'm not saying this specifically, like Brandon's been at Chris Olave, but it feels like these guys are guys that are getting checked on all the time. Like, teams are calling on these players that are kind of heading for an extension, and maybe a team isn't all the way there. I mean, you think about the Minnesota Vikings right now and the offseason they're facing. I wouldn't be surprised if 10 to 20 teams are calling on Jefferson, and not only Jefferson, but even Addison, who's had some of these off-the-field issues, and you wonder if a team would be willing to take a shot on that, but they probably will, just because you just can't get those first-round caliber wide receivers every offseason. I mean, I would imagine Brandon has tried to a certain extent. I mean, he tried on Diggs a couple of times before he finally was able to pry him away. I'm just of the belief at this point that you have to go two-pronged approach at a position that didn't work last year. And I thought for all of its shortcomings this year, and the Michael Hoyt injury, I think, looms large over how the defensive line ended up, shaping up at the end of the season. Going at that hard in free agency and the draft, that dual threat approach, and going heavy at numbers, they landed Deion Walker, who was arguably the best defensive tackle as a rookie in the league this past year.
In the spirit of buying low and to continue the conversation on wide receiver, and to go along with the news today that Drew Terrell has been hired from the Cardinals as wide receiver coach, what would it take to pry somebody like Marvin Harrison Jr. away from Arizona?
I mean, I think that one's going to be super costly, right? Because you still got 2 years left of his rookie deal. You still, even that fifth-year option, if he takes the kind of jump that you're hoping, if they find any kind of answer at quarterback, that's going to look pretty affordable, as opposed to kind of having to go out there and paying somebody. And I think now that you have a coaching change happening, the new folks are going to probably want a playmaker no matter who they land at quarterback this offseason. So I think it's going to be costly. I think there might be some, other options. I think the other guys that are in that building there, the one dude's name is escaping me right now. He had a really big second half of the season. Yeah. And I actually was in the Bills media room one day, and I was trying to go through my ad drops early in the week.
Fantasy football.
A fellow media
Michael
member,
Wilson.
Michael Wilson.
Yeah.
Yes. Fellow media member, I kind of surveyed the room, and I said, man, this Michael Wilson, he's had 2 or 3 games, and somebody piped up, no, he's gonna fall off. And you go and look, he had an unbelievable run through the season. There's real development there.
League winner.
I think just from that perspective, I think you have to be excited about, if you go with the heavy draft approach, now you're talking about a guy in the wide receiver room that could probably develop some of these guys, and you're coming off of a guy, Adam Henry, unfortunately for him, didn't do a very good job developing really anybody while he was here.
Can we go back to a name that you just mentioned out in Minnesota? I'm not talking about Jefferson. Addison, somebody that, okay, maybe they get rid of altogether, but the bottom line is you could get somebody like that. They're cheap. Would that be somebody under McDermott they would have shied away? Do you get any sense that, when it comes to character, that we might not be putting so much into that here moving forward?
And how much of that is McDermott and how much of that is actually Pagula as well, I would wonder?
So I don't think that, that was ever as big of a thing as maybe we even I would put myself in that category, that we made it out to be, process guys and guys that fit from a character perspective. They went after Von Miller, and Von Miller's past was very much reported on. And obviously they had that little bit of a dust up there at the end, and that case ended up getting thrown out and everything like that. But, they've had some guys over the course of time that, raised your eyebrows a little bit. So I don't think, I think that's still going to be in play. I think that part of what I've always argued is you have a good culture because you can onboard some of those kind of problems and maybe help guys. I mean, the line from Sean was always be the best version of yourself. Well, you're not going to be able to get choir boys all the time, and you're going to have a different kind of group depending on, it's like anything else. I mean, there's different levels of character folks at every job and every building that you're ever in. And so I think it's about, getting them to buy in what you do. And I don't know, maybe they won't be comfortable going after a Jordan Addison, and whether or not they should, that's a question for Brandon Beane, but I don't think he necessarily has ever shied away from that.
It's not lost on us that during the introductory press conference there in the weight room, in the background, Cedric Van Pran Granger is getting a little workout in, staying there at the facility a little bit longer for everybody to see. And I bring it up because you've got Connor McGovern, you've got David Edwards also hitting the free agent market. And I'm curious, Matt, if you've allowed yourself to kind of wonder what this offensive line protecting Josh Allen might look like in 2026.
Yeah, I have a feeling that I know that Brady is super tight with McGovern and Edwards to a certain degree. Edwards was a real Cromer guy, but I think over the last couple of years, I actually asked Edwards a couple of weeks ago, as Brady was really getting publicly scrutinized. I can't remember after what game, and I just walked up to David Edwards' locker, and man, it's just coming back to me now as you asked me this question. He really stood on the table defending Joe Brady and how great he's been for that room, how much he keeps everybody on equal playing terms. He just really enjoyed playing with them. So I think it might come down to who is the most affordable, but they definitely have options. And, another thing Brandon Beane said recently is, don't forget that all the pro scouting guys are still in the building that found David Edwards and Connor McGovern. So if they have to do that again and maybe go the more budget route to find guys that they can kind of plug in, they're really excited about that. And everybody I've talked to has raved about Pat Meyer, the new offensive line coach who has a previous relationship with Brady as well, and his ability to develop young players. It didn't go great in Pittsburgh for the long haul. He was there for 3 or 4 years. But what he did do is, as the course of his time went on, he started to get some younger players and some guys that came over in free agency, and they ended up having their best season this past year. And so his development is something that people think that he's going to be able to replicate here in Buffalo.
Matt, I think we can all agree that one thing that can't happen next year, Josh Allen getting sacked 40 times. And for the good work the offensive line did when it came to the running game, and certainly the Houston game sticks out like a sore thumb. My question is, though, was that more on the offensive line, or is that really something that Josh Allen should kind of work toward here in the offseason, making sure that he's not taking that many sacks?
I think that we saw some regression from Deion Dawkins, who the year before, in my opinion, was playing like a top 5 left tackle. And one of the reasons I suggested on one of our recent podcasts that Deion might be in that consideration of a trade kind of candidate is because you get to this point for offensive linemen, right? And when you see a little bit of a dip, that dip ends up being the start of what is a pretty big one. And I think that when you're paying somebody the amount of money that you're paying Deion Dawkins, you need that guy to be your reliable constant at left tackle. And now maybe there are things that we don't know about that, maybe an undisclosed injury or something happened that maybe led to that performance. But when you take just the pure pass blocking production combined with the penalties, guys, the penalties to me is almost as big of a deal. He had 7 false start penalties this season. The rest of the unit combined, the other 4 starters, had 2 combined. And so I'm at a point where you have to reimagine this roster. You're at that point. And at some point, Deion Dawkins is not going to be a Bill anymore. And just like when it shocked everybody at first with the Stephon Diggs thing, in a little bit of a different way. I mean, Deion Dawkins is almost a decade long here, a draft pick. It's a whole different deal. But it's a tough business, and you got to make tough decisions sometimes. And I think this offensive line could look a lot different. And I say all of that while also saying Josh Allen has to be a lot better next year in terms of getting the ball out of his hands quicker, pre-snap stuff. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick has been very vocal about how much of a step back he thought Allen took this year in terms of some of the pre-snap stuff that's led to some of their problems in some of the games where he was hit the most. So I think both of those things are definitely at play.
Matt, we'll learn more about the coordinators and coaches here through the course of the week. And we know you and Ryan are going to be covering it all at Syracuse.com and also on the Shout podcast. What can we look forward to this week?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of a low-key week. I think Bills fans are just kind of like simmering under the surface, waiting for this week to be over and hopeful that the Patriots lose. And so we'll come back. We'll come back strong. We'll probably do one more show this week on Wednesday, and then we'll come back strong, getting you ready as we kind of start marching towards the Combine next week.
Matt, always appreciate the time, buddy. Be well, and let's do this again.
All right, guys. Take care.
Matt Perino covering the Buffalo Bills at Syracuse.com. You can hear his work on the Shout podcast as well. And what was the day that we're going to hear from Carmichael and
Thursday.
Leonard? Thursday.
Yeah,
okay.
Thursday.
So later this week, we'll hear from the coordinators, special teams coordinator as well, and we'll learn a little bit more about. I think Leonard is the one that's very interesting. Well, what kind of a scheme are we talking about here, and what kind of personnel are we going to be looking at? There's plenty of questions on the defensive side of the ball, and lots of free agents and needs here through the offseason for Brandon Beane and Joe Brady to consider.
There is one thing, though, that would hold up. I never even crossed my mind, like trading Deion Dawkins.
Yeah.
His dead cap's 21.9 if you did that. You did it for Diggs because you had to, right? That was untenable at the end, and we want to wave our finger at Brandon Beane and say, you got a second-round pick for Diggs.
If you believe that Deion's a problem, then you're doing it for the right reasons. If you believe that Deion isn't focused, or he's committing too many penalties, or he's starting a downward spiral from a performance standpoint, buy low, sell high. And left tackles don't grow on trees. I guess that would be my cautionary tale there, is that, if you got your guy, you got your guy, and hopefully you have him for his entire career. But, yeah, that's the first I've heard of anybody covering this team suggesting that is even a possibility. And I don't hate it. I really don't. I try to wonder what this offensive line looks like in 2026, given that you've got two free agents in the center, and Dawkins struggled last year.
I don't know what the point would be. Like, honestly, like if it were something, again, the dead cap figure, that's a hard no for me on that. I like, there's nothing to say, but this would be kind of the ballsy thing, right? Let's say Vandermark, you're going to have like a camp battle. Could you imagine that? Like that, like if that happened, then we would cross that bridge when he came to camp. But I don't see that right now. Like, yes, we could get to this time next year and like, boy, you know what Perino pointed out, boy, we were laying on the ball there.
The idea that the Bills could invest early at wide receiver in the draft. And he mentioned the top two guys. I don't know if you saw this or not. ESPN has the Bills drafting in round 1 at pick 26, Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M.
No. Yes, he's from Texas A&M, but Mike Danger, where is he from?
Well, he was born in Rochester, New York.
He lived in Rochester
for the first 4 years of his life.
That makes him one of us.
He's one of us.
He's one of us. Come home, Kevin Casey Concepcion.
Yeah. We're going to draft him because he's got 585 roots.
I honestly, like when it comes to comparatively speaking, other markets are we the worst?
We are so insecure. We are absolutely.
We are the worst. Like
so insecure. Please pay attention to us. Give us our flowers. We're a good place. No, really, we are. We're a sweet place to live. It's awesome here. Casey Concepcion, who I think moved to Charlotte, I want to say.
Okay, correction. You said 4. It was actually 3.
Okay. Yeah.
That's close enough.
Yeah, he moved as a toddler. He has no recollection of the Flower City. Yeah, we're going to claim him as ours. Hey, if that's the move, are we complaining? No, I don't think anybody is complaining if you're going wide receiver in the first round.
Absolutely not.
Even with the wart that is Keon Coleman on your resume, go get it. Go get it. Go swing again.
However, if there's a linebacker danger, somebody that can plug in for Matt Milano, like Dorian Williams, like that is it feel like he never really reached his potential.
Maybe there's more there with the Jim Leonard defense.
Maybe that's the key here, because to me, Dorian Williams was, you see the physical gifts, and he kind of fell into that Edmonds bucket of like, wait, there should be more here.
Yeah. I tried to connect the dots there with Drew Terrell as the new wide receivers coach inbound from Arizona. Like, wouldn't it be something to bring in Marvin Harrison Jr. and reunite him with his wide receivers coach? But then you also think maybe they didn't get along. Maybe he was part of the reason why Marvin Harrison Jr. wasn't as productive as we all thought he would be in year two. But that would certainly be a buy low opportunity. It would cost you a fortune to be able to do that in terms of draft capital. But those are the kind of big swings that I think we all have floating around in our head right now with a world of possibilities in front of us in the offseason to go. Love our conversations with Matt Perino. Glad we have that. And next hour, we'll check in with Amerks head coach Michael Leone. We have time for your calls at 866-4FAN. I was getting into it earlier today with my Giant fan friends about the move that they made today, Gino, and I'll explain why. And we'll also get to a happy hour later on this afternoon, a round of shots coming up as well. Stay in the Sports Bar, Danger and Battaglia on the Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar. Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Sabres looking to finish strong before the Olympic break, as tonight the team in Tampa, second game in as many nights for Buffalo, coming off that win last night over the Florida Panthers. 7:30 for our coverage tonight here on The Fan, Rochester. The Amherst continue their homestand coming up Wednesday. Belleville is the opponent. Later this hour, we'll talk to head coach Mike Leone. As far as the Bills coaching staff, Chris Brown and the possibility of having some continuity.
And I would anticipate that at least a few coaches from the previous offensive staff will be retained. We'll see who those people are when the final announcement is made that here's the 2026 Bills coaching staff under Joe Brady. Defense is a different story, obviously, because a lot is changing there under Jim Leonard.
Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Welcome back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We will speak with Rochester Americans head coach Mike Leone. He joins us, as he does every Tuesday, right around 4:25. We welcome you on in at 866-4326, and thank you for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps, or are watching. If you're watching the Sports Bar, we appreciate that as well on our YouTube channel and Twitch at The Fan Rochester.
You know, one thing we try to do here is just be as authentic as possible, just be straight and be honest.
Transparency.
Yeah, that's important. Some news today, and the Bills have just kind of put this out in the Buffalo News. Also kind of all putting this out. Our company, Odyssey, will no longer be the official radio partner of the Buffalo Bills. And what does this mean? This means coming up on Friday. Friday will be the last day for Brownie and Tasker on the radio. If you want to find that show, it still will be available on the Bills website as well as MSG.
Yeah, this statement put out by the Buffalo Bills starting Monday, One Bills Live, will be moved to in-house. So what you normally would hear here on The Fan weekdays from 1 to 3, or if you drive around and you listen to GR, as we know a lot of you do, you won't be hearing Brownie and Tasker on the air. That's, again, last show coming up on Friday on the radio side of things.
Yeah, so I think Brownie and Tasker and Jay, like, they're just
Best.
great. Maddie, like, and again, we hopefully will still have that relationship where, hey, they want to come on our show, we'll call them up every so often, and I'm sure they would oblige. All great people. And we certainly wish them nothing but the best. And, in regards to the station, just sit tight. We're working on things, right?
Yeah, look, we know that there's been a lot of changes. We'll discuss the elephant in the room. There's been a lot of changes at the Fan Rochester that started at the beginning of the year.
Does Mike Danger have anything to do with it?
No. But we hear you, and whether it's Steve stopping us at the Amherst game or whoever we talk to when we see you out.
We get your messages.
We hear you.
Yeah.
We hear you. And, there's a part of us that, and I think all of us, let's give it a benefit of the doubt. Let's live with it. Let's see how this works. And then there's the other part of like, okay, we need to improve. We need to get better every day. And I think we always strive for that for you. We want this show to be the best it can possibly be every day. And Gino and I do this with one hand tied behind our back and do the best that we can every afternoon from 3 until 6. As far as the rest of the programming, I can tell you that I am sharing my 2 cents. Gino, I know you've been vocal as well. And the one constant in life is change. And I know that there will be changes. And those changes are going to be designed to make you happier with the Fan Rochester.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I don't have anything to do with the changes, right? But I do have control, not full control, but I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that these 3 hours are delivering what the Rochester, or, maybe you're listening from Buffalo and you're listening for a different sports take on the Bills. Well, welcome. wherever you may be. We have an audience outside of the Flower City. But we're going to still continue doing a local show here on Rochester Sports Leader on the Fan.
Yes. And, hey, maybe now, I don't know if this changes anything with our sister station in Buffalo. I mean, we've always been out of the blast zone, so to speak.
Well,
you know?
Put it this way, right? In the history, like this is before your time when you got here, that station, WGR, had an afternoon guy. His name was Chuck Dickerson. Chuck Dickerson was fired by Marv Levy, big personality. And he got on the air.
Fired by Marv Levy.
Yep.
As he was on Marv Levy's staff.
Right. And because before the Washington Super Bowl, he said some disparaging things about the Washington offensive line that fired up Washington, and it became kind of a scapegoat thing. Dickerson had an axe to grind against the Buffalo Bills, and really it was like, whoa, that was a station that would light up the Bills whenever they had a chance. And, the station, Chuck is no longer with us. Station certainly over the years has evolved to, I would say, kind of a smarter brand of sports talk. And look, you listen there, listen here, totally fine, right? We're friends with a lot of these guys. In fact,
we're all in the family.
Paul Hamilton's coming on our show tomorrow to talk about the Sabres. So the point is, though, that, when you're partners with the Bills out in Buffalo, and if you're going to be critical, I'll just say this. I know Sean McDermott called somebody in the office once.
Well, you don't have to look. I mean, Brandon Beane was on the air with them after they were being critical of him.
That should have been something Beane should have done off the air.
Right.
Like those are things that happen off the air that spilled over on. It was magnificent, by the way.
Yeah.
Like that's exactly the sort of thing you want is, kind of the conflict. But here on our show, Danger, it's like our little club. Like, did we ever get a call once? There would be certain things like, oh, my gosh, yep, Boyko and the Bills PR staff, they're going to find out. Nope, never quite did. And we would do McDermott McLives. Did they ever call us once on McDermott McLives?
No.
And then, honestly, when we had McDermott on, you wanted to ask him about McLives when we had him on. But I'm like, no, we can't do that. But for Buffalo, can they...
I forgot about that. I would have needed a little bit of liquid courage, I think, to ask McDermott, hey, by the way, you're really lying when you say the things you say about your opponents every week, right? I mean, we've made a bait out of it. You don't even know.
Maybe just do the live lie detector. Like he's sitting down with us. Ding, ding, ding.
Love the preseason. These games are meaningful. They really are. They're meaningful. I played the death march from Darth Vader. Is that Brandon Beane walking into the room?
It could have been. But now, where we might have had worry, and we would offer this to our friends for WGR in Buffalo. If you want to use this, just cite us as give us the credit on this. Actually, give Bobo the credit.
Yeah. That's right. I mean, we are going to have fun with the Buffalo Bills. And I think, we'll be as critical as they are. And I just think you come to this show, and if you've listened to us for any amount of time, we're going to offer things through a different lens. And we might have a little bit of fun, and we might try to entertain a little bit more. There are things that you'll hear on GR that you probably won't hear here, and vice versa. And I don't know that any of that changes, but knowing that Friday is the last day for One Bills Live here on the Fan, that's a little bittersweet. I mean, that show has been in one way, shape, or form on the air for over a decade on this station.
Yeah, going back to the evenings,
John Murphy show.
The John Murphy Show, and Donald Jones.
Right.
And then when they said, hey, Steve, you want a job? Sure. Well, then it became One Bills Live, and they moved to the middays. Brownie then taking over. Murph had some health issues. So, yeah, it's gone through some casting changes, if you will, but it always provided content. So they were good partners. We wish them well. Mm-hmm. But you and I are going to continue to do what we do here in our slot.
Correct. And you know what? We also have an emphasis on Rochester, as we are the Fan. Rochester.
No, Rochester.
Oh, yeah? You're going to talk to the Amerks head coach?
Yeah, we're going to talk to Mike Leone. By the way, I love going to Amerks games. And I love going to Amerks games with my daughters. Because when we go to Amerks games, inevitably we will hear a fan who has the greatest Rochester accent. It's a given. Somewhere in our vicinity, we're going to hear somebody go,
What are the Amherst doing? Oh, my God. Shoot the puck.
we'll hear it,
Yeah.
and we'll just look at each other, and we'll know. Like,
There it is. Yeah.
that's our accent. That's our guy. That's Rochester.
Oh, yeah. I want to go get a garbage plate. And then after that,
Yeah, so Mike Leone stops by every Tuesday right around this time. Amherst hockey isn't going away on the Fan of Rochester. Not anytime soon.
No. Hopefully they have a nice long run here this postseason. Look, I think there's so many things beyond their control with the Amherst. It's like the Sabres are up, and there's a lot of guys contributing that spend time here in Rochester, but that's the whole point, right?
Back-to-back nights for the Sabres, by the way, against Tampa Bay tonight after beating the two-time defending Stanley Cup champion in Sunrise last night. So an exciting time to be a Sabres fan, and I think by proxy you could say that it's an exciting time to be an Amherst fan when you consider that a lot of the Sabres' success is coming with a lot of the Amherst's best players playing in Buffalo. And hopefully, and we'll learn more when we talk to Leone, hopefully we can see some of those faces back on the ice for Rochester here during the Olympic break over the next few weeks.
You see this as a headline here, one little NFL note, but I'm like, is it really a headline? So Matt Ryan, he's running the show down in Atlanta now, and when we talked yesterday to Thor Nystrom, he goofed 2 years ago.
Terrible
Terry
Terry.
Fontenot couldn't know how to draft it. Terrible, and he called for his firing. It happened eventually. But one of the most controversial ones, you sign Kirk Cousins this big money contract, you draft Michael Penix. Wow. The headline here is Matt Ryan is not committing to Michael Penix as his starting quarterback. Oh, well, yeah. Atlanta Falcon football, you may have forgotten in November he tore his ACL.
Yeah. He's had some issues,
Yeah.
some injury concerns.
That would be the third time
Yeah.
he's done that. So the ACL, 9 to 12 months. Let's give it.
By the
9,
way,
yeah.
not related to the NFL or this story, but it did cross my feed, and I'm floored that Lindsey Vonn, after tearing her ACL, still wants to compete at the Olympics. Lindsey Vonn, 41, torn ACL. Oh, I'm still going to compete at the Olympics. You're not going to
How?
compete. You're going to crash.
How?
You're going to kill yourself.
How?
Yeah. No, I mean, like, of all the things you need, stability, you won't have that on the slopes. She's going to, I mean, like, if that's how she wants to go out, okay, I guess who's stopping you? But that's an impossible. I'm not a surgeon. I'm not a doctor.
Okay,
that feels like an impossibility.
This is according to her, okay, that her ACL was completely ruptured plus meniscal damage. And the meniscus was injured. Okay. But then she skied on Tuesday. So did that really happen? Or is she just this unbelievable marvel of science? Or is this going to be a train wreck? Here's what I think. Ready? I think Lindsey Vonn is the original skiing influencer, right? She is 41. This is her last thing, and I'll be damned if I'm going to go out like this. So you know what? You're going to look at me, and you're going to listen to me. I would be stunned if she's actually out there. That actually the U.S. team would let her do this at this point.
It sounds crazy. And again, I'm not a doctor. I can tell you that when I tried to play hockey on a torn ACL, and I played a couple of men's leagues game on a torn ACL, every time I tried to turn right, I collapsed. Every time. No stability, pain, down, out. I don't know how you brace that up or you're able to do. Maybe it's a little bit different when you're skiing, but I imagine stability is still quite important.
Danger, that is the one sport of the Winter Olympics that I will watch and marvel. Because I ski too, but not to that level.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel. Like to have that sort of control at that sort of speed.
Yep. Your head on fire.
Yeah, okay, even if you do get through that, you're finishing in last. What are we doing at this point?
Right. Well, sorry, I got us off track there with the Lindsey Vonn story.
No, it's perfectly fine.
But there's a couple of items from around the NFL here that I know we're going to get to later, including the article that the headline that you're mentioning there with Matt Ryan kind of leaving it up for grabs as far as who's QB1 in Atlanta. I was mentioning earlier, I got into it with some of my Giant fan friends earlier this week on the hiring earlier today on the hiring of Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. The Giants have fallen into the trap of blind optimism. I think they are at a point now where it's like everything is going to be great. We've got Harbaugh. Nothing can go wrong. And I'm like, you guys just hired Matt Nagy. I mean, it kind of shows. Look, Harbaugh probably had in the back of his mind, Monken is going to come with me. I can get Monken. Well,
Right.
Monken's a head coach, and now who are you going to get?
Well, right. And for anybody that's like, oh, Carmichael, that's a buddy hire. Okay. Would you rather have Matt Nagy or some other retread out there that are no.
I have thoughts on that move. We'll get to that here in a little bit. We got to get to Emmerich head coach Michael Leone. Fresh off a split with the Hershey Bears and a win on Friday night and a nice refreshing break here over the weekend as they continue their homestand tomorrow night against Belleville. We'll check in with the coach next on The Fan.
You're listening to the Sports Bar.
Sabres looking to finish strong as the Olympic break is coming up. Tough assignment tonight, though. Second game as many nights down in Tampa Bay. First meeting of the season with the Lightning, as Brian Duff points out. This is a hot Tampa team.
Tampa, though, is 17-1-1 in their last 19 games and coming off the dramatic 4-goal comeback win in a shootout against the Bruins in the Stadium Series game on Sunday. But do you find it crazy that this is the first meeting of the year?
7:30 for the coverage here tonight on the Fan Rochester. The Amerks continuing their homestand tomorrow night. Belleville is the opponent. Head coach Mike Leone will join us next year in the Sports Bar. Bills news relatively quiet today. The Pro Bowl games are tonight. Seattle is a 4.5-point favorite in Sunday's Super Bowl against New England. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, the Fan Rochester.
The beer is cold and the wings are hot. You're in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Hammers full strike, puck shot away, out to center ice. Hammers have it, up the wing, shot in, score! Empty net goal for the Hammers. Rochester salts this one away on the goal scored by Wahlberg.
There's the Hall of Famer Don Stevens on the call from Friday night at Blue Cross. Ring of the Barn was rocking as the Amerks split their series against the Hershey Bears, and we welcome in head coach Mike Leone for his weekly visit here on the Fan Rochester. The homestand continues tomorrow night, Coach, with Belleville the opponent. Congratulations on securing that win Friday night. Exciting game and an exciting little back-to-back there with the Bears.
Yeah, it was. It was similar games. We thought we played well in both games. We just, right now, goals are hard to come by, and our power play's been really struggling as of late. But overall, as a team game, I think we've gotten a lot better, and our game's in a really good place. The last 7 games, we've only given up 15 goals. Usually, that's right around 2 a game. You're going to win a lot more than you lose. We just, that without some of the sticks that we have in our lineup, goals are going to be hard to come by. But we're playing a really good team game, a really good 200-foot game, and it was good to see the guys get rewarded.
Now, I'm going to ask you the question, knowing that the Sabres still have 2 more games, so things can change here. But do we have any sense of who might be coming back here, Coach, after as we head to the Olympic break?
No, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I just play with the lineup we have. If someone comes down, they come down, great. If not, then you just play with the guys that you have. I really don't have an answer for you. All the guys up there are making an impact and playing really good, so really happy for them. And, if they help them win, if they think that they're in a good spot, then that's great for our organization and our players. And our guys have done a really good job, stepping up. There's a lot of other teams in our league that are in the same position as us and have a 300 winning percentage. So our guys have stepped up big time, done a really good job. Sure, we're not scoring enough, but really proud of the group and the effort, and a lot of guys that probably people don't know a lot about that are playing in the league for the first time and are doing a great job.
Mike, let's hypothetically say that you do get some names back from the beginning of the year. Does anything change in terms of the chemistry in the locker room right now? Because you mentioned, there's a lot of young guys on this team. They're playing a good 200-foot game right now, adding some of that talent that they maybe were familiar with from earlier this season. Does that require any extra level of management from you as a head coach?
No, we got such a good group. I think what it does is create inner competition. The guys, if we were to get down, they're going to play. They're obviously going to play in probably top 6 roles. But what it does is create inner competition for the guys that have been here and are playing really good. So there's hard decisions to make. And when you got guys in the lineup that are playing for something, it means a lot. I just look at our group right now. We got 6 forwards that have never played in the lineup. Sure, they haven't played, but those guys are fighting every day for their life to either stay in the league, to get a contract the next year. And I think that's what gets lost sometimes when you look on paper and, everybody's like, oh, your lineup's not great. You got all these guys missing, but you're also look at the guys that are playing, that are getting their first opportunity in the AHL, like they're playing for something. And those guys every game he's given us everything that we have. Like the last 5 games, we've given up 21 shots a goal. So the guys are obviously doing something right. You wish they got rewarded for how hard they work and the chances they get. But no, as far as our group goes, it's a great group, a really selfless group, and they've done a great job since I've been here. Is whoever comes down, they're a part of it. Even Rosie's up right now. I think he's playing his best hockey that he was in the AHL, and it was good to see him get rewarded and go up. So if we get guys back, it's great. If not, and they help the big club, that's awesome too.
Yeah, roster move today, Tobias Lainen going down, and I think that's just a matter of, hey, let's make sure he's getting work. We had the opportunity.
Yeah.
I know, we had the opportunity to talk to Marty Baron. It was just interesting to get his perspective on just sometimes, goaltenders need just the work, and we want to just kind of send them right. And Marty was telling about his experience, how it took him a few years to finally break through. So at this point, I don't think any of us were expecting, Lainen to light the world on fire, but just your thoughts on developing a goaltender like this, Mike.
Yeah, no, I think even if you look at UPL's, he's playing great this season. He played 2 years in the East Coast Hockey League to come up. And he was the goalie of the year in the OHL, the MVP of the playoffs. So goalie, it's a really difficult position. I think you could live in bizarro world if you think a goalie's just going to come in and play. It's a hard league. These kids are really young, and it's about starts. So, Topi was battling an injury. He came back. And the best thing for him right now is to go play games. You need to play games. I think he only has 9 games played this season. And, for every goalie, if you look at starting goalie in the NHL, they're, besides if you're, one of the mega superstars like a Vasilevsky or Shesterkin, like those guys maybe played 20 games in the AHL, but everybody else you have to play. And you have to go through it. You have to go through the grind of the schedule, playing back-to-backs. And I just think at the end of the day, it's about the player and what's best for him and his development. And especially with it's difficult right now because we haven't had too many back-to-backs. So Dev is obviously getting a majority of the starts. Rats and Topi, I think, have combined for maybe 12 to 15 starts, and they need to play. And it's really important for them to play. And especially with the injury, I think the best thing we thought as a management group and a team is to send them down and go play games.
That's Rochester resident Devin Levi, by the way, Coach.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
Michael Leone joining us here in the sports part, the weather report guy, yeah. Hey, we got 2 more games left in this homestand tomorrow night, Friday night. Can you give us an update on the health of the squad? Anybody returning here during the rest of the homestand?
Yeah, we had a couple good news. Komarov will be back in the lineup, so he's going to come back. Rathbone will still be out. His upper body. It'll probably be more after break, hopefully. Lowen is still out. And then we're all good up front, minus just all the guys that are called up. So our D core will look a little different with Jonesy and having Gavin Bayreuther. That will be, mostly the mainstays are there, besides Bones. And obviously Metza being up. So should have a core back there, our foundation for sure.
And Friday night, Springfield, the opponent, and it is also Olympic night. And, 2 former Olympians that live or have Amherst connections, I should say, Brian Gianta, David Leggio. Of course, Brian Gianta, pride of Rochester. Have you ever crossed paths with Brian Gianta, Coach?
No, I haven't. I haven't. I know I met his brother that scouts for Tampa Bay. He's a pro scout, so I see him a lot at the rinks. I know Pacer's really close with the Gianta family, and I'm excited to meet him. I've heard nothing but, amazing things about the character, not just the player, just the person that he is. So, no, that's awesome, and I'm excited to meet him.
And one of these opponents that we have coming up here Wednesday, I mean, obviously familiar with Belleville and Springfield. I'm trying to remember our first meeting against them. I think went well. Did it not?
No, we actually haven't played them this year.
Oh, I'm sorry. I got Bridgeport and Springfield confused. So Springfield.
Yeah, we haven't played them. And, Belleville Belleville's playing really good hockey right now. They they pretty much have their full lineup. They're a bit of a run right now. Just with the lineup, I think they have one guy up, but their lineup looks a lot different. And then obviously Levi Marilainen is a really good goalie in this league. Played for Ottawa at the start of the season, and Ottawa's healthy, so obviously it helps the AHL group. So it should be a good test for our team.
I'm assuming you saw that outdoor game, Tampa and Boston, on Sunday night, Coach. Your friends, he's a mentor of yours, John Cooper. What was he dressed as? Would you dress in like something like that?
I thought he's the only.
We got you.
Oh no, we're getting the good stuff here.
Coach, you there?
All right, we'll try to reconnect with him.
Yeah, I wonder if we had a Bluetooth issue there. It sounded like maybe the Bluetooth battery was dying in his headset. But head coach Mike Leone, just as you were asking about his mentor dressing up like Havana Mo in the middle of Raymond James Stadium for an outdoor game, we have a connection issue. Well, we'll see if we can get him back on the blower here to finish up our conversation. I think that's him right there calling in. Do we have head coach Mike Leone? Yes, we have him. All right, Coach. Sorry, we're getting to the hard-hitting question here about your mentor here, John Cooper.
Yeah, I honestly think I was telling our staff he's probably the only guy that, knowing him, could pull that off. Team down 5-1, has a goalie fight, and then walks off with a cigar. I don't know how many people could pull that off. And it was funny. I remember when we were in junior, they lead the league in fighting majors. This year again, and we're going to lead the league in goals and fighting majors. Those were the two rules. And no, I think he was trying to maybe what is that movie, Scarface?
Ah, okay.
Scarface. If you see the white suit, I'm just guessing, but I think that might have been it. You know, the Miami scene, and not that they're in Miami, but. Yeah, it was wild.
We got to get an outdoor game here in Rochester again, Coach. So
I won't be wearing that. I'll tell you. You got to win. You got to win a couple of Stanley Cups and have a 650 winning percentage.
You need to be the longest tenured head coach in the NHL, I think, to pull that one off, right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. But it was. I thought it was a great outdoor game. I really did. For the fans, goals, fights, chaos, scoring overtime, didn't hear the whistle. Then I thought it was great for hockey.
And along those lines, the Sabres' opponent tonight is that same Tampa Bay squad. So I imagine a pretty good measuring stick for the parent club tonight.
Yeah, I think it'll be a great test for our team. Obviously, they've been a really good team. A great win last night for the group. I think it's awesome, especially with the team where they probably didn't play last night as good as they have played in the past, but you find a way to win a hockey game, which is huge. Good teams do that, and now another test tonight. We have some guys out of the lineup. They have some guys out of the lineup. It should be a really, really good hockey game, and I look forward to watching it.
I don't know if you have any parallels like this in your career, what the Sabres, and for that matter, the league, are going to face with this break coming up. I mean, it's not apples to apples with that break in the playoffs last year because you could still practice. This downtime here, Mike, how big a challenge is this for Lindy Ruff and his staff, in your opinion, just to make sure we're picking up where we left off here before the break?
Yeah, no, I think it's really important because you almost look at it as like 3 seasons. You have this season, obviously up until now, and then the team will probably have, 25, 26, 27 games left, and it's tough because they're rolling right now. You just hope. I think it's really important that the guys get rest, recovery, but also put themselves in good positions when you get back too, because it's almost like a training camp. You're got 2 weeks off, and then you hope. I think every team is just hoping that when their guys go to the Olympics, that, knock on wood, their best players stay healthy. That's also out of your control, but I'm sure you want them to do well. But it's also, you hope they stay healthy because they're, obviously Olympians for a reason. But I do think it's just interesting because not many coaches have ever, or teams have gone through this. Like, how do, I'm sure there's a lot of conversations behind the scenes of, plans for the guys. Like, it's good to get away for a few days and get away from hockey, but also it's, you got to keep your eye on the prize to get in the playoffs and making sure that you're mentally and physically ready to go when that first practice comes back.
Coach, appreciate the time as always. Best of luck here to round out the homestand tomorrow night, Friday night. We'll look forward to talking to you again next week, same time.
Thanks, guys. You guys have a good one.
You got it. There's Amerks head coach Michael Leone joining us as he does every week at this time with the state of the team. And, of course, you'll hear all of this Amerks action on the Fan Rochester tomorrow night, Friday night, Blue Cross Arena.
Yeah, boy, and this is courtesy of Chad D. Dominicis, like the question of who might be coming down. And, I mean, I could read you this, and it's going to glaze you over, but there are some rules here. The bottom line is this, according to Dominicis, players that cannot be sent back during the AHL break. Oslin and Metza.
During the Olympic break.
Uh-huh. Rosane and Hellenis can be sent back.
Is that has to do with how much time they've played at the NHL level, correct?
Waiver exempt players can be set down unless they've played 16 of the last 20 games or have been on an NHL roster 80 league days prior to January 21st.
Okay. So there are some rules in place.
Yeah.
And Metza doesn't fit, but Rosane does.
Yeah.
Hellenius does.
And the question came up. Who was that woman? I feel bad. She was really nice. Amherst fan. She came up. Is it Hellenius or Hellenis? And Warren Kozel from the Amherst gave us the audio. So you do this whenever somebody comes in and you hold up your phone. Say your name. Consta Hellenius. He says Hellenius.
Yeah.
So how did this morph over to Hellenis? Did he decide when he got up to Buffalo, no, I'm going to be a Hellenist?
No, I think it's that's Buffalo accent. It's just Rochester has an accent, Buffalo has an accent.
It, yeah.
They're just shortening it. They're not really paying attention to the details of that name.
Yeah.
And they're just shortening it for their convenience. So, it's kind of like how depending on where you live in Rochester, it's either Showen Place or Shane Place. It's kind of like that. Like, you want to pronounce it a certain
place. You tip your nose up a certain angle.
Right. Yes. You're trying to exert dominion over the people that you believe are pronouncing it wrong. This is one of those instances where we can actually say we got it right. Buffalo doesn't know what they're talking about.
Well, I had once somebody say to me, "Your name is Battaglia."
Oh yeah, soft G.
Are you ashamed? I'm like, am I ashamed? No, because my dad said the name Battaglia, and his dad said the name Battaglia. So
it's Battaglia.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
But then
are you ashamed? That's
ashamed?
Exactly the person who says Shane Place instead of Shown Place.
Are you ashamed?
That person is exactly who I'm describing. The person who questions you about your own name and how you pronounce it. Get out of here. We know from the words of the player himself, from the voice of the player himself, Consta Hellenius.
Do you go by Danger or Danger?
Michel Lejaroux. When we go north of Bordeaux, and I talk to Martin Baron, Michel Lejaroux. There you go.
Mike Leone, Amherst Hockey tomorrow night, Don and Andrew.
All right, take a quick break here. A couple of NFL nuggets that we got to get to, and happy hour on the way as well. You can join us at 866-4326-585-866-4FAN.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. The Fan, Rochester.
Back in the sports bar, it's Danger and Battaglia. All right, a couple of NFL nuggets here before we get to happy hour, which is coming up next. Your calls are always welcome at 866-4326. I was talking about this earlier, how I'm going to thread with a bunch of Giant fans and a couple of Jets fans as well. The Jets fans are mainly miserable, and they don't really say much about anything these days. Although I did find it funny that one of ours in New York at WFAN, Mraz, was reporting that Aaron Glenn was trying to hire Wink Martindale to be his defensive coordinator, and the owner shot it down, basically saying, we pay you $12 million. You're the defensive-minded head coach. You call plays on defense. We're not paying this guy. And he had to go back to Martindale and say, I know I offered you the job, but no, we're not going to do it now.
Oh.
So the meddlesome owner continues with the Jets. I was talking to the Giant fans on my thread earlier today, and a couple of them were really excited that Matt Nagy was named the offensive coordinator for the New York Giants. And I said, well, my hope is he doesn't do to Jackson Dart what he did to Mitchell Trubisky in Chicago. And, you would have thought that by saying that, I absolutely crushed them. And they're riding a wave of exuberance because they have John Harbaugh as their head coach. And I hope it works out for John Harbaugh with the Giants. And I truly hope that Jackson Dart is the franchise quarterback that they have been seeking since losing Eli Manning, right? But the hire of Nagy to the Giants, to me, is not very inspiring at all. In fact, it just kind of shows that there wasn't really a plan beyond Todd Monken to be the OC if you were John Harbaugh.
No, they talked to a bunch of guys. Jim Bob Cooter, Alex Tanney, Kingsbury, Brian Callahan, just fired by the Titans. They did try to bring in Davis Webb and Charlie Weiss Jr. What that says to me is it is such an old boys club.
Sure.
Such an old boys club. And to me, the number one name on that list should have been Davis Webb, bringing Davis Webb. But if not Davis Webb, hey, you could do a lot worse than Cliff Kingsbury. Like Cliff Kingsbury in New York, to me, if you're not going to get Davis Webb, that would have been the guy. Nagy in Kansas City, dude, he didn't even call the plays, obviously, number one. Number two, did you see the Chiefs' offense the past few years?
Oh, but he worked with
16,
Patrick Mahomes.
20.
Mahomes is a winner. He just won games. They just won games. And look, that offense was a lot more explosive when it was Bieniemy working with Andy Reid, for what it's worth. And I know Trubisky is now a backup. He's a career backup. Hell, they've got an ad campaign with him being a backup. Fine. Mm-hmm. But when he was a starter in Chicago, and you could say the talent was never there, the way Nagy managed Trubisky ruined the kid. Confidence shot. He was never the same after working with Nagy. And he got that Bears team with Trubisky to the postseason twice. And Trubisky just hasn't been the same guy since Nagy basically undressed him on national TV. And now I worry that the same could be said for the future of Jackson Dart. I hope I'm wrong because I think Jackson Dart is a lot of fun.
Well, I think he's got a lot of fire to him.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're going to ruin Jackson Dart. If anything, the problem with Jackson Dart is his career is going to get cut short until he knows how to slide and not take some chances that really he shouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, honestly. Oh, and by the way, get a helmet that fits. That would also help you to stay in this league.
Avoid the concussions and avoid the headshots. So that's one of the coordinator moves made today. Speaking of the Jets again, Frank Reich is going to meet with them about their offensive coordinator job. I mean, it's so weird how they kind of blew out the coaching staff a month after the season ended, and now they're on the search for whatever's left over, and Aaron Glenn feels like dead man walking.
That's tough. Like, Frank Reich comes in like, who's your quarterback? I'm asking honestly.
Justin Fields declined to go to the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
Honestly, Shedeur Sanders deserves to be there more than Justin Fields.
Dude, that's tonight. Are you watching?
No,
Sabres
Sabres
that's
tonight.
Why, like, that's the case in point. Like, people, oh my gosh, the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
You don't watch.
Yeah.
You don't care.
No, you put it on your resume. It doesn't matter.
There will be something quirky that will cross your feed. Somebody will clip it, and that's really all you need to know from this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Other than I love NFL media people complaining about the geography of the Bay Area, where you've been to the Bay Area, right? It's not easy to navigate. Santa Clara, where they put that stadium, silly. So if you're not familiar with what they did here, Santa Clara it's a little north of San Jose,
It's
but
like 45 minutes from San Francisco?
right. So the media center where you hear Radio Row, and if you're listening to other sports talk shows that are out there, that's in San Francisco.
Oh.
Meanwhile,
Oh.
the Pro Bowl games tonight are in San Jose.
They're not even at Levi's Stadium.
No.
Too much preparation for Sunday.
Why? Like we just get everybody out of here. So
Oh, wow.
which okay, if you want to go cover one thing, it's like a 2-hour ride. So hey, I'm thinking if the Bills ever got a Super Bowl, we could be the media center here in Rochester. What am I saying, Dan?
Yeah, right.
So silly.
We'll take a break. We'll come back. Happy hour is next. We have plenty of time for your calls at 866-4FAN. And I mentioned the Sabres. A big win last night and a pretty good measuring stick tonight against Tampa Bay. We'll talk a little bit more about that and unpack some of what we learned from our conversation with Matt Perino from Syracuse.com regarding the Bills, the coaching staff that we will hear from later this week. That's all on the way next on The Fan Rochester.
From The Fan Rochester. WROC AM, WBEE HD2, and W239BF Rochester. The sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan Rochester. An Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester. Sports Update.
Sabres in a tough assignment here tonight, considering they played last night and won down in Sunrise. Tonight they're in Tampa. Buffalo, their first meeting with the Lightning. 7:30 our coverage tonight here on the Sports Leader. The Amherst, they're home Wednesday and Friday. Belleville, the opponent, coming up on Wednesday as the homestand continues. Chris Brown today on the possibility of continuity in the coaching staff.
And I would anticipate that at least a few coaches from the previous offensive staff will be retained. We'll see who those people are when the final announcement is made that here's the 2026 Bills coaching staff under Joe Brady. Defense is a different story, obviously, because a lot is changing there under Jim Leonard.
Now hold back your excitement. The Pro Bowl games are tonight. Super Bowl Sunday. Seattle's a 4.5-point favorite. Gene Battaglia, the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Amherst. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Happy hour in the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. Glad you're with us. Thanks for listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950. Take your time. If you're driving, I see some snow squalls throughout the area and slowdowns on the roads, but we appreciate you. If you have the ability to join us, do it safely at 866-4FAN. Thanks for listening in the iHeart, Odyssey, and TuneIn radio apps. You can also watch the sports bar if you're in the comfort of your home on our YouTube channel and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester.
Something we haven't gotten to, and anybody that wants to join us, it's happy hour. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. And friend of the show, Ty Dunn from Go Long. And what makes Ty great is he digs, and he gets people to kind of open up. And that's what you really want to do as a writer. I'm just going to read you the quote, but I can't read it verbatim in this forum because we're on the air, right? This was Brandon Beane speaking to Ty Dunn. F the outside. It's about the right direction for this team, and if we win, they'll love it. It's the same thing when we took Josh Allen. If I'm wrong, the moving company will be at my house. So I understand. I'm not going to have regret of choosing someone to appease the outside if I thought it would have been something different. If I'm wrong, I'll bleeping, effing, take it to my grave and effing go home. I don't want to be wrong, see him go somewhere else. When my gut told me it was Joe Brady, I'm never going to do that. I would love for everyone to cheer every move, but it's not about winning the press conference. It's about winning games over there.
So I know where you're going to go with this. You have a little bit of an issue with the tone of that answer.
Well,
and the language.
The language. Like, why do we have to drop F-bombs?
So I wonder how much of that is influence by our community. And I'll say this. Off the air, when I talk to people, I censor myself a lot. Yeah, every now and then one gets by the goalie here in the sports bar. But for the most part, I really try to censor myself. When you get passionate about something and you are with your friends, your buddies, or your coworkers, it's, I think, common, more so here in our community and maybe in Buffalo as well, than I think in other parts of the country. Because I know from dealing with other parts of the country that sometimes when I speak passionately on something and something slips out, it almost makes them oh.
Right. There's different parts of the country that's not kind of welcome. But this is an NFL GM.
Mm-hmm.
This is somebody that is used to criticism. And as he pointed out, hey, you credit to you took Josh Allen, you heard a lot of it. I don't recall Brandon Beane taking F-word shots about F the outside and everything. I'm just wondering, was this a different setting with Ty Dunn? Did they go out for beers?
Right.
And this is, you're rolling the tape. You know what? after everyone,
Yeah.
Brandon Bean like talking.
I think Ty does that, right? Like that's one of his shticks, right? Like he'll do a podcast with Ty, and he'll be like, "Oh, it's happy hour. We're gonna drink." We call it happy hour as well, but he's actually cracking a cold one and interviewing former players or coaches or whatever it might be. So maybe it is a looser setting where you get him to open up like that. And I think the other guy that does this with frequency is McAfee. And Joe Brady, when he was on with McAfee last week after his introductory press conference, he's dropping F-bombs in that as well. I'm like, boy, everybody's pretty loose with their language. And I'm not a prude by any sense of the imagination, but it does kind of defy expectation, I think, when you hear a coach or a GM or anybody in a leadership role in the NFL just use language like that.
Okay, couple things. F words in NFL locker rooms. Okay, that's so common, right?
Sure.
But this is outside the locker room. I'm also wondering, think back to all the McDermott quotes you ever heard. In public, did he ever say the F word once?
I never heard it.
In just in a setting in the locker room where the cameras and hey, here's the victory speech and F those
maybe
guys.
could have used one or two. Maybe it saved his job. I don't know.
Is it signaling a coaching change here? Because you couple that with there was a quote from Alec Anderson that just it's a little off color, but just saying, hey, we were uptight.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we don't have to be uptight anymore.
Mm-hmm.
People will be a little bit looser, and by dropping F-bombs here from the GM and the head coach, it's just signaling, hey, we want you guys to be you here?
Or maybe it is just now we're loose. We saved our jobs. We didn't get held accountable for the playoff losses. One guy did, and he lost his job. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, Gino. There's a part of me that wants the GM or the head coach to be presidential, and there's another part of me that wants them to be real and human, and I think he's trying to cater to the second part of that, where I'm going to talk like the fans talk so that they know I'm being passionate right now. And not that I don't care, but I'm not listening to the outside noise. We're trying to win football games here. And saying it in a way that if you were to ask anybody in a bar in Buffalo what their thoughts are, they would probably drop an F-bomb or two on how they feel, because that's how passionate they are about the Buffalo Bills. I can see where it rubs some people the wrong way, but I can also kind of get Brandon Bean speaking in a manner which may be closer to the way the fans communicate. And the players, for that matter. You're trying to set a tone, send a message. Speaking of the Bills, we might as well talk about the elephant in the room, because I see it now all over my feed.
Yeah, what does this mean for us here in Rochester? For our show here, we're fine.
If you don't know what we're talking about, One Bills Live, as you've heard on this radio station and our Odyssey Sports sister station, WGR in Buffalo, for the better part of 14 years, something like that.
Wow. It's going back to the John Murphy show in the evening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last show will be Friday. The Buffalo Bills are taking that and distributing it under their own umbrella. Okay.
As they will do their own radio rights.
Yes.
So where the games will be on the air this fall, not sure.
Remains to be seen.
That remains to be seen. And no, you and I don't do those sort of negotiations when it comes to that sort of stuff.
No. This is well above our pay grade. So that news coming today, and you may hear or see more of it in your feed. We love One Bills Live. We love those guys. They were our pals at training camp. They always gave us time and respect, and it's bittersweet.
Yeah, it is bittersweet. Like, I have known Chris Brown for many, many years, and just to hear him kind of evolve as the voice of the Buffalo Bills, I say this with bias, okay, that I think he's doing it as well as anybody in the NFL. And Tasker was always somebody that he is somebody that gives you that perspective. And, you will be able to get that now on MSG or the team's website. So we wish them well. And their producer, Jay Harris, just kind of a
all class.
Down-to-earth guy. So, and whenever Maddie was coming by here. So, at some point we might have him back on the show. How will this impact what we do here on the Sports Bar? Nothing at all. Like in Buffalo, maybe they're going to feel a little looser. Like we're talking about Brandon Beane dropping F-bombs and everything like that. Maybe they can do bits on WGR, like Tell Me Brady Lies, things like that.
Right.
McDermott McLies. Like things
Yeah.
that maybe would have upset the Bills before. Like, really, I can't really have you making fun of the head coach that way. Like
I think
they don't have
they
to worry.
already got underneath their skin as much as they probably could. I mean, I think the Bean outburst last year was a product of them listening to what was being said about the team with consistency. And, you can only lose in the postseason so many years before we have enough.
Well, here would be my suggestion, and I'm not the producer for Jeremy and Joe. You did that interview, and it was replayed everywhere. But out of the partnership with the Buffalo Bills, they never replayed it. Wouldn't you like to listen back to that? What would that tell you about Brandon Beane? Like, listening back to that one season ago where Jeremy White, Joe DiBiase, and many others, they recognized, hey, we need more at the wide receiver position. And to hear the NFL GM fly off the handle the way he did. See, if you're the Bills, careful what you wish for. Great. You can go find a new radio partner or everything else, but now this kind of frees up those guys to do what really they should do. And that's deliver. They were delivering great content, but now they can do things like this. Replay that interview, guys. Replay it. I'm asking you to. Might have to wait till next week until this deal is up. The final day for One Bills live on our station, and for that matter, GR will be on Friday.
I think if you were to re-listen to that interview, you would hear what I believe Dr. Neal came on our airwaves and called a petulant, narcissistic point of view.
But I think that's just the byproduct of being an NFL GM, that you're getting it from every angle, right? From your coaching staff, from agents, which really are the players. Like you develop this persona.
Yeah, you're in a world of alphas, and you have to be
the alpha.
The alpha, the lead alpha. When you're corralling a kennel of dogs. I mean, you have to really be the big dog, and I guess in doing that, you have to use the words. You have to speak the language. You have to talk the talk. So we'll continue to do what we do here on The Fan, which is provide you with the best sports talk in the Flower City. What that looks like continues to evolve and change. And
look, we were able to move off of Joe Capogreco. We'll find ways we can kind of move on from other things too.
Oh man! Well, the one constant, especially in our industry, Gino, is change.
Hey, what are you doing? Why do I take?
I die in this chair.
Why you bring me up? Hey,
love you, Joe. Miss you. The carousel every Sunday morning, a tradition unlike any other here on The Fan, Rochester. So there you go. There's that bit of Bills news. We also learned today that the Buffalo Bills hired a new wide receivers coach, Drew Terrell. And
where was he?
Terrell was the wide receivers coach and passing game coordinator for the Cardinals last season. He'd been with Arizona the past 3 seasons. And when we brought up the idea to Matt Perino that you could see the former Cardinals wide receivers coach reunite with Marvin Harrison Jr. and the Buffalo Bills, yeah, that might be a price too steep to pay if you're the Buffalo Bills. But it did break the wide receiver seal. We are talking wide receivers.
Yeah, and again, it's great to talk about trading for Marvin Harrison, but then if you want some help at linebacker in the second round, that pick is gone. So everything kind of comes at a cost when it comes to trading. What are you willing to give up? I'm suggesting something a little different out of the box because people in Minnesota, people when we're looking at the Vikings, Justin Jefferson. I don't think Justin Jefferson is going anywhere. But what about Addison? Addison has issues. Addison's immature. Addison can ball. So is this Bills locker room strong enough if a guy like that were to become available? Because the Vikings may just kind of move off of him or may say, all right, you know what? What do you want? A pick swap later rounds? Like, see, to me, those are the sort of moves. And I wonder if they would have been vetoed in the past by Sean McDermott.
Yeah, that's interesting. Was it McDermott, or was McDermott following the orders of the owner? The owner who doesn't want these players' names in the headlines. And then you look at the history of the McDermott era, there were troublemakers on this team. Now, he inherited LaShawn McCoy, but they did go after Von Miller. They did go after Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, and for a few hours, Antonio Brown was a Buffalo Bill.
That's right.
So, there was a lot on, his resume that wasn't so sharp at that point.
Yeah. The wide receiver conversation is one that we're going to continue to have through the course of the offseason.
The one thing, and this floored me, and I still can't get over this, but Matt covers the team. He's got his finger on the pulse, and it was a conversation that, all right, when we're talking about free agents, you look at the interior of the line, and you see David Edwards, you see Connor McGovern, you're like, okay, Van Pran Granger and Alec Anderson, and then Matt brings up a good point. He says, remember how Edwards came here? Remember how McGovern came here? The pro personnel staff is still here. They can find you the next guys if those other guys, Van Pran Granger and Alec Anderson, whoever, aren't ready. But then it's a step further, because in this conversation pointing out, hey, Josh Allen got sacked 40 times. And I know Allen has to do a better job, certainly. Nobody's going to dispute that. But, hey, this offensive line really cracked up. Matt pointing out, and I think correctly pointing out, that this was a down year for Deion Dawkins by his standard. And Deion Dawkins right now, Danger, he's on the wrong side of 30. Next season, he's going to be 32. Not good, right? And when you're looking at the money that he's going to be making, could the Buffalo Bills actually consider trading Deion Dawkins? Now, I go back to a $26 million cap hit. That's the reason not to do something like that. However, if somebody's going to give you a good draft pick, where essentially you're buying cap space for a draft pick, and if you think, see, this would be the ballsy thing, right? This is the thing, like identifying veterans who are on the wrong side. Is Deion Dawkins going to pick up his game next year and return to that level?
Right.
Or are we talking about somebody whose days are behind him? We have to ask that question honestly, because it wasn't great this year.
These are the questions. And, boy, when you're talking about rebuilding the entire left side, if you lose Edwards, Dawkins, potentially your center, I mean, like that is ballsy. That's you better have a lot of faith in the guys that you already have rostered and the guys that you're going to bring in, because left tackles don't just grow on trees. You get your left tackle and you know you got your guy. You have to wonder, though, at that age, is this the beginning of a downward spiral for Dawkins' performance? Some guys have been able to play in the league. I look at Trent Williams, guy's a Hall of Famer. I mean, the guy has been awesome, just consistent every time he's on the field. You hope you have somebody like that in Deion Dawkins, but can you rebound from a down year? The penalties, the pre-snap penalties, a lack of focus. These are things to question for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you could say he's the voice in the locker room when talking about Keon Coleman. I think to a certain extent, but I'm sorry, like the production should be number one on the list. So you want to talk about elephants in the room, like that's one thing we just can't say, oh, yeah, tackle's all set. No, closer look.
Yes.
And
scrutinize everything, because you haven't gotten there. Don't assume that you're good anywhere. Scrutinize it all if you're Joe Brady, if you're Brandon Beane. Go back to the drawing board, and if you felt like you were being restricted by what the coach wanted, well, it's a new day. So that, at minimum, is invigorating and exciting if you're a Bills fan. But it's also a little scary. A couple of these moves go wrong, and you find yourself missing the postseason for the first time in a while. I also wanted to bring this up, too, because when we were talking wide receivers with Perino earlier today, the idea of them going shopping in free agency for a wide receiver, it hasn't really worked out for the Buffalo Bills. You don't get the value in a Palmer. You don't get the value in Curtis Samuel.
Terrible signings.
Awful, right?
Yeah.
I saw that ESPN put out their mock draft and have the Bills drafting at 26. Oh, KC Concepcion. Am I beginning a man crush on KC Concepcion, Gino? maybe, just maybe, where was he born?
He was born in Rochester.
Oh,
He's one of us.
He's one of us.
Oh, yes.
The wide receiver from Texas A&M who moved from Rochester when he was 3. But we will dismiss that. It's okay. You are one of us. Come home, Casey. Come home.
So, okay, that's ESPN. What do you think of Pro Football Focus? All right. I would say kind of in the same boat, right? I don't like they fancy themselves as being the authority, but they're just takesmen.
I like eye test.
Yeah.
I'm still an eye test guy.
Well, this is where they have Casey Concepcion going. The Bills pick 26. They have him going 24 to Cleveland. Concepcion gives the Browns reliable athleticism they've been missing at wide receiver. He improved tremendously as a route runner last season, as evidenced by his 78.3 PFF receiving grade against man coverage. Okay, like that's you pointing out to your own eye test there, basically.
Yeah.
The reality is the Bills have more needs, and maybe they go back to the default being defense. C.J. Allen, and I've seen more than one mock draft say C.J. Allen to Georgia. Would be the one.
Well, look, it's way early in the process. We haven't even gotten to the combine yet, but it was Maggie Gray who joined us, I want to say, in the fall.
Yeah.
And at the end of our conversation, we were talking, I don't know how we got on the topic of college football, but she brought up Concepcion because her husband was watching him, and her husband is a Rochesterian. He's a Rochester guy.
Well, he's on a text thread, and on the text thread, somebody knew the family. So that's really kind of like everybody has their buddy text thread. And so this was Maggie's husband text thread. Maggie's husband went to Wilson, by the way.
Right. So Casey Concepcion, ESPN mocking the wide receiver from Texas A&M, and Rochesterian to the Buffalo Bills. We're claiming him. He's one of us. Excited. We'll see. God, Combine is going to be here before we know it. I don't want to wish through the Super Bowl on Sunday, but let's face it. I mean, I'm not really interested in the game.
No.
Not really interested in the outcome, especially if New England makes a game of it. I'm interested if Seattle pummels them. That would be fun. We'll go to Radio Row on Thursday this week in the sports bar.
I'm thinking Puppy Bowl might be the year.
Oh, this is the year for Puppy Bowl.
Puppy Bowl. Well, it's always on in the house, but I'm always like, no, I'll go watch. No, I might be watching Puppy Bowl the whole way through. You know, actually, I'm lying.
We're watching.
Steve Levy was hosting Puppy Bowl last year.
Really?
And I felt so bad for him. We've had him on the show, Steve Levy, like ESPN, Monday Night Football. Oh, that's right. He doesn't do that anymore. Can you just imagine, like, okay, Steve, we don't have this for you, but we have Puppy
No, they
Bowl.
put him on. He's NHL on ESPN hockey coverage.
Well,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But, like,
yeah, he used to do the Monday Night Football, and now it's like you've been reduced to Puppy Bowl.
Puppy Bowl.
Oh, Elle Duncan was doing the skyscraper climb. She got hired for that gig. I don't know if that means she's off of ESPN. I don't see her as often. I don't know what she's up to.
No.
Yeah.
I can't watch. When is the next skyscraper one? Whenever
There's another one?
Oh, I'm sure. Are you kidding? The numbers that brought in? Watch and see if this guy falls and dies.
I mean,
coming up tonight. That is like some Bill Murray Scrooge level programming.
I'm telling you.
Like, watch this guy climb a skyscraper. Oh my gosh, he might die. No, he didn't.
Ugh. My heart rate was through the roof watching Alex Honnold climb that 101-story skyscraper. Ridiculous. We got to get to a round of shots next, Gino.
Yeah, we will set you up for tonight. Certainly, there is one thing we could tee you up on. They're trying something different here in terms of the pregame Super Bowl coverage. Some people might like it. I think it's kind of silly. The state of Syracuse basketball danger, we will get into that as well.
I haven't talked about the Orange yet today. All right.
For good reason.
We'll get to that as we continue in happy hour here with the round of shots. And don't forget about last call. You can have the final word in the sports bar. Join us at 866-4326, 585-866-4FAN.
Buffalo Sabres, 2 games before the Olympic break. Tonight down in Tampa, first meeting of the season with the Lightning. Brian Duff points out it's also a hot Tampa team.
Tampa, though, is 17-1-1 in their last 19 games and coming off the dramatic 4-goal comeback win in a shootout against the Bruins in the Stadium Series game on Sunday. But do you find it crazy that this is the first meeting of the year?
It is indeed. First of 4 remaining. 7:30 the coverage tonight here on the Fan Rochester. Amherst home Wednesday and Friday. Belleville is the opponent coming up tomorrow. The Pro Bowl games are tonight. Hold back your excitement. Seattle, a 4.5-point favorite against New England on Sunday. Sports is brought to you by GetMyPerks.com, where today save half off to a $50 certificate to Lasertron in Henrietta. Team Battaglia, the sports leader, the Fan Rochester.
Got a smart speaker at home? Listen to the sports leader, the Fan Rochester at home, by asking it to play 95.7 The Fan.
Happy hour in the sports bar. Danger and Battaglia, thanks for joining us this afternoon. As we do every day at this time, it's a round of shots.
Can you imagine if this develops into something, Sabres in Tampa? Follow me on this. There are 27 games left in the Sabres season.
Okay.
4 of them, beginning tonight, are against Tampa.
Okay.
And if you're allowing yourself to daydream, I'm thinking of April and May facing this Lightning team. That's the team that has cups. That's the team that's been there, done that. And here are the kids from Buffalo. Hey, the Sabres last night, impressive. Like, there were all the Sabres teams of the past, Danger, they would have folded.
Yeah.
A little bit of adversity. Timeout called by Lindy Ruff. Let's settle down. They fight their way back. Zach Benson, by the way, should be okay. Went hard into the boards, but Lindy Ruff saying I don't know if he's going to be good for tonight, though. Last night with the win, the Sabres, Mike Danger comment incoming. The Sabres now have 69 points on the season.
Nice season, boys!
Keeping them in the top wild card spot. Just 1 point back on Montreal in the division. 7:30 the coverage tonight in the Fan. That is because tonight is not on MSG. It's on Hulu and ESPN+.
I'll go back to what we heard from Alex Tuck on Friday. This team is different. They're not just satisfied in breaking the drought.
You know what? We're coming in with a lot of confidence. Everybody's coming in trying to prove themselves, and we're trying to prove as a team that we're legit. We're not just going to go for the playoffs. We're going to go for the cup, and that's our goal. Just get better each and every day. That's it. That's the end goal, honestly. We're not in here just to squeak in. We're in here to try to keep winning.
Now, made that comment after a win last week, but then losing at home to Montreal.
Yep.
Rebounding with the win in Sunrise against the Panthers last night, and I think tonight, what a measuring stick. Depending on where you're looking, to your point about 4 games remaining against Tampa Bay, depending on where you look, the Sabres have anywhere from like a 75 to a 90% chance of making the postseason. So you feel pretty good about their odds of ending the playoff drought as of right now, but you're going to have to beat teams like Tampa Bay in the postseason. So, yeah, I like tonight. I like the measuring stick angle for tonight's game there in Tampa.
Yeah, you want to finish strong going into the break. And Thursday night at home against the Penguins, and then it's off to the Olympics. We'll get to the Olympics here in a little bit. But last night also, well, it's one thing to lose, but then when you have an all-time great, a guy who gave a bunch of money and your training center's named after him, and he's saying he's not pleased. Carmelo Anthony last night posting on Insta, SMF.
Oh, wait, hold on a second. I'm an old guy, so let me see if I can figure out what that means.
SMFH.
SMFH.
Dr. Rick. That's
Show me. What? Oh, I see. Shaking my effing head. Okay.
Uh-huh. The Orange lost by 10 to North Carolina. They were getting blown out. The Tar Heels put in their subs at the end. Syracuse, let's look at the stats here, Danger, shall we? They rank last in the ACC in the offensive rebounds, last in turnover percentage, and in free throws percentage. Let me put it this way. There are 365 teams in Division I. Syracuse ranks 363rd. What are you doing, boys? You should be dead last. Go for greatness here. Miss a few more. Syracuse 4-6 in the ACC, and what's the big problem? The big problem is they haven't played all that. They still have Duke, another game against North Carolina.
They're not going anywhere.
Is good. Yeah,
they're not going anywhere. If your expectations is a tournament team, they're not a tournament team. They're not going anywhere. And when you have guys like Carmelo Anthony being vocal about it, oh boy, I mean, what's the future of Red Autry? How much leash do you give the guy?
No, the future is he's not here.
Okay.
This is as clear as anything. Name me a seat that is hotter in Division I college basketball right now. That is not the expectation. And the truth is, Danger, like the last few years of Boeheim weren't great either.
No, they really weren't.
No, they weren't.
It's a different era. It's a different time, for sure. And I think the expectation has always been a little bit more than what we've gotten, I would say, the last 6 years out of Syracuse basketball? 5 seasons? How many seasons?
It's been terrible.
Yeah.
Not by their standard. NBA trade deadline's coming up Thursday. No, Giannis did not get traded today. But we have another story, courtesy of Shams. Clippers guard James Harden. He's missed the last 2 games for, quote, personal reasons. Translation, he wants to be traded.
Check the LA strip clubs. We'll find them.
Why the NBA, this drives people nuts. Like, okay, you want to be traded, still go out there and play.
Yeah, no.
Harden and the Clippers are supposedly working together to make this happen. The Clippers, kind of like the Sabres arc to the season, they started 6-21, but since then they've won 17 of their last 21. Harden averaging 25 points per game, which makes him, I guess, relevant. There is an option for $42 million for Harden next season. Apparently the Clippers don't want to pick that up.
When the NBA trade deadline comes around, my head starts spinning. I mentioned it earlier. If you listen to this show, I'm not telling you something you don't already know. I'm not that bright. I can't wrap my mind around the picks and the protected picks and the future this and the future that. And it's just so convoluted when you talk about multiple teams trading pieces and all the picks that go with it. I can't. If that makes me a dumb sports fan, I'm a dumb sports fan, man. I'm sorry. And I can't keep track of who's going where. It's exciting, but there's almost too much movement.
Yeah, okay, this is on the apron, or like there's a lot of jargon when it comes to the NBA. And no, we're not an NBA town. Neither is Buffalo, for that matter. And to me, the NBA falls in the bucket of, hey, when it comes around and we can talk about the playoff matchups, that's when I'm in.
Saw a good tweet earlier today, and I'm not going to be able to give credit because I can't remember who put it out there, but one of the NBA insiders said, hearing that the Jazz may not be done. And the tweet was a repost of that tweet saying, the feeling when you're on with customer support and they go to get another representative to help you. Hi-oh! That's some good tweeting.
That's
some good tweeting.
That should go viral.
Kind of jealous.
Get in the algorithm. Yeah. Live Golf is teetering. Really, they are. After defections by Brooks Koepka and Patrick Reed.
Oh, they lost Patrick Reed? I didn't know about that. John from Rochester must be devastated.
Patrick Reed, guys, this is John. Patrick Reed's great. I love Patrick Reed.
That's my guy.
You know what? That's when, what, Patrick, you can just stay over there.
Yeah,
you don't need it, though.
Well, what a win. We didn't hear so much about that one from the PGA. They didn't celebrate the return of Patrick Reed the way they did Brooks Koepka. Cheater.
Cheater. Oh, someone not happy with Patrick Reed. Who wants out? Bryson DeChambeau.
Oh, really?
DeChambeau, quote, we didn't sign up for this. What's he complaining about? Live switching to the 72-hole format where they're playing the 4 rounds. Now, Deidre, I can hear your objection. You just say, what's the big deal? Golf, like every other tournament, play the 4 rounds. Well, number one, you promised these guys one thing and then you did the next. Number two, let me read you the live travel schedule coming up in March, okay? Hong Kong to Singapore to South Africa. That's all in consecutive weeks.
Oh.
Then you get a week off of the Masters, then it's off to Mexico City, then it's off to Virginia, and then you're over in Spain. And mind you, that was the whole idea. We're going to go around the world and only play the 54.
Yeah, cry me a river and your millions of dollars, Gino. I don't care. I mean, you signed up. This is what you signed up for, Bryson. This is exactly what you signed up for. Take it. It's crazy. Good luck out there. I'm not saying one's better than the other because I think the PGA Tour has plenty of skeletons in their closet as well. And a lot to be desired. But
what's funny is, for years, they're going to merge. They're going to merge.
Where'd that talk go?
Uh-huh.
Nobody's saying it anymore.
Well, my theory on this is, does the administration really care about investigating the PGA. Because if you had different leaders in this country, like, okay, let's look into the PGA.
Yeah, right.
Okay, shall we?
Yeah.
They're not worried about that right now.
Right. Well, look, at minimum, it's nice to turn on the TV on the weekend. It's like comfort food. It's like background noise to look and see the blue skies and the green grass and the California swing that's happening on the PGA Tour. It's a welcome addition to the sports calendar.
Dude, we're 2 months away from the Masters.
The celebration
The
of
celebration of wealth.
Yes.
Hello,
friends. Yes.
Lindsey Vonn says she wants to give it a go at the Olympics. Good for her.
This woman is nuts. She's lost her damn mind.
She says she ruptured her ACL in last week's training spill.
She broke her brain. She's lost her damn mind.
She also suffered damage to her meniscus. The 41-year-old Vonn says she can still ski by using a knee brace.
Okay. What is that knee brace made out of? Not titanium. What's vibranium? What's the stuff that they mine on Wakanda? That is. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a physical therapist. I tore my ACL at age 40. And I remember trying to skate on it, not knowing I had torn my ACL. Every time I tried to turn right, my left leg gave out. I'd crumble in pain. Just miserable. Miserable. There's a lot you could, I know hockey players have, Joe Thornton played the Stanley Cup Finals on a torn ACL.
Oh, yeah.
It can be done. It can be done, but I would advise against it.
Well,
skiing, I imagine, I've never skied, so I shouldn't speak out of school here, but I imagine stability is pretty important if you're skiing.
When you're going down a hill
at
a 90 right. Like maybe that should be the next Netflix special. Instead of watching a guy, hey, is he going to die falling off? Let's watch Lindsey Vonn on one leg.
That's right. I don't want to watch Lindsey Vonn crash. I feel bad when I feel like you watch it because you're waiting for that to happen, but I don't want to watch Lindsey Vonn go out like that.
Danger, is somebody who loves the spotlight. She's not going to be out there. She knows that. She's getting us to talk about this. When she first burst onto the scene 20 years ago, like, wait a second, she's getting on the mountain and she's all dolled up? What do you care about wearing, mascara? What are you doing? And then remember the pictures with Tiger, their dating pictures?
The Winter Olympics, I feel like, the Olympics in general, I just feel like these athletes, there's a lot of expression that happens with these athletes at the Olympic Games, winter or summer. If you're talking track and field or the snowboarders, certainly the skiers, there's
Shaun White comes to mind.
A lot of expression. Yeah, it's artistic, man. And the snowboarding is fun. The skiing is fun. Like, I'm kind of excited for the Olympics to get underway here. I know that, national pride aside, and we'll watch the hockey tournament for sure, but, like, it's again, in the spirit of comfort food, like, there's something about just leaving curling on in the background as I'm doing something. Curling is on. I'm going to watch some curling tonight.
By the way, I forgot to mention this because this happened over the holidays. Our guy, and this has nothing to do with the Winter Olympics, but maybe the Summer Olympics. Our guy Joey Whalen from Webster.
Joey Kipchoge.
Personal best in the Olympics. Not the Olympics. Personal best in the marathon. 2:09:41. Which, again, not apples to apples, but if he ran that in the time trials for Paris, not only would he have been on the U.S. team, he would have been in the top 15 overall. Oh. So if he could do that in 2 years, and in training for Olympics, you don't have to be the 23-year-old whippersnapper. You can do it at an advanced age.
That's right. That's an unbelievable time. Damn, jealous. Guy's got it all.
Of course.
Hate it. Love it at the same time.
This feels like a story where you can write your own punchline. Ready? NBC has a Super Bowl. NBC pregame segments usually have, you can think of this, you've seen this, right? And we go downstairs to the sideline, and there's Jack Collinsworth with Tony Dungy and Rodney Harrison, and they're blabbing about something, right? Well, the three will not be on the sideline for this pregame. Instead, they're going to toss to the three at Alcatraz.
What?
Well, they'll offer their thoughts.
Huh?
Let me try my punchline, Danger. Alcatraz, did they miss the deadline for Super Bowl media credentials?
Hi-oh!
What's the point of that?
Visit Alcatraz, our number one tourist attraction in the Bay Area. I don't know, man. I actually, that's the one time I went to the Bay Area. We did Alcatraz.
I did Alcatraz too. And that movie with Clint Eastwood, where I'm like, wait, there's the stairs. I'm like, wow, I've seen this before.
Mm-hmm. Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
Right? That's the movie you're talking about?
Yeah. So this was before The Rock came out. Welcome to The Rock.
Oh,
The
Rock. I
Rock,
forgot about The Rock. That's another one, too. Yeah, interesting stuff, I suppose. Not really sure what it has to do with the Super Bowl. Kind of think I'd like the guys.
So you can leave Jack Collinsworth on Alcatraz, right? No, right here.
Yeah,
Jack Collinsworth arrested for stealing money from NBC. They sent him to Alcatraz.
Guilty of nepotism in the first degree. Your
you
punishment, Alcatraz. I don't know. Well, look, the big game it'll command our attention. It'll be all we talk about all day on Sunday and all day on Monday. I just can't remember a time where I've been this disinterested in the matchup. I really don't know that I have
Which is interesting because I always kind of detect when you're appreciative of their teams. And going back to the Seattle Legion of Boom defense, Richard Sherman, you always had an appreciation for that team. Not this Seattle version.
I'm still I think that
because it's my Bears.
No.
My Bears
no,
in there.
No, not at all. I think that they have some unbelievable pieces, and as Witherspoon kind of continues to grow, I mean, he's already elite. He's great. Reek Woolen feels a little inconsistent to me, but their secondary is strong. But they don't have the personality yet that the Legion of Boom developed. And I think that's what makes watching football fun, when your team has a personality, when your favorite players on your team have a personality and it comes through, not just in what they do off the field, but what they do on the field. I love that. And I don't know, I just think, I'm not saying I wish we had a marquee name in the Super Bowl, but without the marquee name in the Super Bowl, it feels a little less interesting. The marquee name that we had for years, Brady, Manning, now Mahomes. Yeah, I'm not saying we miss Mahomes in the Super Bowl. Not saying that. But not having a marquee name at quarterback.
It also is the Patriots. Like we get done with the Chiefs. If the Chiefs are vanquished, then this team comes back. It's like the Moe and Barney meme. Like, oh my gosh, you're back already?
Yeah.
Drunk idiot.
We weren't ready for that. We were not ready for that. Speaking of being not ready, Gino, time to cut out of the sports bar.
That's it. Paul Hamilton is on the show tomorrow. And then, we'll talk about some of these things. If you want to spice up your Super Bowl experience, why not put together a parlay? PJ Glasser, your betting expert, will be joining us as well.
Love that. Tonight, Sabres hockey, 7:30 on the Fan Rochester. Adjust your schedules accordingly. They are in Tampa and looking to close out their little Florida swing with a back-to-back wins after dispatching of the Panthers last night. BetMGM tonight, next on the Fan.
You're listening to